Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 1 of our story. If you like this What If story and want to see part 2, let me know in the comments below. Before we start, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Also, check the description for more great content and my playlist. This story was posted by eliah-chan on Wattpad. Now let's start. Third-person POV police arrived at the underground laboratory along with the heroes All Might, 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴, and Midnight. All Might punch a wall creating a big entrance. Police force shot their gun aiming the scientists, killing some of them and taking one as a prisoner. They searched every cell for any hostage and they found a lot children aged 7 to 11 years old and were taking each of them one by one. Okay, I think that's everyone. All Might said, getting out from the cell wearing his signature smile. No. Not everyone, mister. A girl with purple hair that looks like a 7 years old said, being carried by one of the policemen. Midnight. All Might, there's a door over there, it won't open. All Might, on it. All Might rushed to where Midnight was with 𝐒𝐻𝐻 following closely behind. Midnight, who was in front of an iron door, back away. All Might punched the door making him fall forward. The three heroes went inside, scanning the area. The room smelled like rotten corpse being placed in one room. It was dark and cold. The room looks like it was meant for torture, having all those chains and knives scattered around. A faint sound can be heard which startled them. In the corner of their eyes they see a boy with green hair and eyes staring lifelessly at them. Midnight gasped at the sight. The boy was small, very small, chained on the wall with multiple cuts and wounds. The boy stared at them from where he was sleeping and sat upright to properly face them. All Might recovers from the state of shock and bend over to the boy's level. All Might, child, are you okay? Do not fear, we have come to rescue you. The boy didn't say or reach, he was just starting. It worries the heroes deeply. After all, the boy looks over 5 years old. Seeing the poor thing in that state left them guilty for not coming sooner. Midnight, is he mute? 𝐒𝐻𝐻, we need to take him to 𝗧𝗜𝗧𝗟𝗘. Without a word to spare, All Might breaks the chains, careful not to hurt the boy, and carried him in his arms. Using his super speed, All Might quickly made his way out of the laboratory towards you, leaving a dust of wind behind, and rushed to where Recovery Girl is. Less than 20 minutes, All Might came bursting through the nurse office, breathing hard, carefully with the boy in arms. RG papers fly everywhere, making 𝗧𝗜𝗚𝗚 boil. Recovery Girl, All Might. You're gonna pay for the dash. All Might, our help quickly heal this boy. Stop and look at the boy in All Might's arms, she gasped, seeing the boy's. Recovery Girl, put him down here now. All Might gently puts the boy in bed. He was just sitting there not doing anything, no words, no movement, just dull green eyes staring at the ground. All Might's sweat dropped looking at the boy. He wondered how could a so young could be in that state. Recovery Girl, All Might out. I'm going to examine him. He understood and walked towards the door, not before giving the boy a quick glance, and head out. Once he closed the door, he saw 𝐒𝐻𝐻 and Midnight coming to his direction. 𝐒𝐻𝐻, how is he? I don't know. Recovery Girl, kick me out the moment I lay him down. Midnight, poor kid. All Might, how's the other children? 𝐒𝐻𝐻, they're all safe. We already talked to the police. They're all in good hands. All Might, phew, that's a relief. A moment later they could hear screaming inside of Recovery Girl's office. The three heroes immediately rush in, seeing a crying old woman on the ground trembling. Midnight, what hap? Gasp. Midnight instantly fell on her knees. The boy was now naked, revealing a much more horrifying sight. The small boy body was skinny. He had multiple burns, cuts, and scares. It looked like he was burned alive and being wiped countless times. All Might and 𝐒𝐻𝐻 stood on their ground, too shocked to even move. How could those people do this to a child? How did he survive? Recovery Girl, sob, help immediate, sob, medicines now. At that moment, 𝐒𝐻𝐻 hurriedly grabs any bandages, alcohol, and painkillers he could find, while All Might got out to find some clothes for the poor boy. RG and Midnight cleaned his body with clean water and a towel. Midnight, RG, why can't you just heal him with your quirk? Recovery Girl, my quirk needs a patient's energy to heal, but in his current state, he might just end up dead. The boy watches as the people around him. He didn't think, he didn't speak, just watched the world around him. 𝐒𝐻𝐻 brought all the bandages and medicine he could find and give it to Recovery Girl. Recovery Girl, dear, I'm going to put some medicine on your wounds, okay? It might hurt a bit, so bear with, okay dearie? He didn't respond, he just looked at her. RG gently applied the medicine onto the boy's body. She expects, A heartbreaking cry to be heard, but to her surprise she didn't hear any. Was stunned. The boy holds no tears, no painful look, or even a sound, is as if his already dead recovery girl. Oh my. 𝐻𝐿iah, we need to get his information. All Might, let's ask 𝐻𝐿iah, that rat knows everything. The three heroes agree and left recovery girl's office, leaving the boy in her care. All Might POV. After we discussed with 𝐻𝐿iah, we got the information that we needed on that boy. Honestly, it's amazing that he managed to do it less than an hour, but his 𝐻𝐿iah, what do you expect? He's a genius. No one can compare to 𝐻𝐿iah. Handed the file to 𝐻𝐿iah head and opened it. 𝐻𝐿iah, name. Izuku Midoriya, date of birth. July 15th. Quirks. Mother Nature, Angel, Crystal. Quirk information. Mother Nature users can control the elements of nature like fire, water, air, earth, mineral, metal, light, shadow, and nature itself. Drawback. None. Angel user has the ability to heal and grow wings. Other than that, user can use telekinesis to move objects and form a protective barrier around the user's self. Drawback. None. Crystal user can grow crystals out of the ground and shoot them. The user is able to use it to collect energy to any kinds of resource, either human, animals, plants, or electricity. Drawback. Headache. Life information. Izuku Midoriya was kidnapped when he was still a day old because he was later found out to be a rare case born with a quirk, not one but three. Izuku Midoriya BLD relative all died. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 Midoriya. Izuku's mother died after giving birth. Hisashi Midoriya. Izuku's father was murdered 2 years after his son and wife disappeared. Izuku Midoriya first experiment experience when he was tree and have been continued even since. After 𝐻𝐿iah finished, the room went quiet and we were all stacked staring at the ground. That child lived such a horrible life, and on top of that he has 3 powerful quirks. I can't imagine what kind of torture that child went through. 𝐻𝐿iah. All Might, I assume the child is RG. Me, yeah, RG is treating him. Why? Oh boy, 𝐻𝐿iah is planning something again. A grin spread across his face. 𝐻𝐿iah, well then shall we visit him? Midnight, I think that's not idea. 𝐻𝐿iah, oh why is that? Midnight, that kid isn't responsive. 𝐻𝐿iah, now that I think about it, he didn't react or say word to us, he was just staring at us. 𝐻𝐿iah, oh dear, that's not a good sign. But we can just check up on him. Me, I agree. Midnight, well then me, was that RG? 𝐻𝐿iah, let's go see. We all ran towards RG office with 𝐻𝐿iah on my shoulder. The screams got louder and louder as we got closer. We arrived without a second to spare, and what we saw was horrifying. That left us completely frozen on the spot. RG was passed out on the floor while Izuku, the boy, was cutting his wrist multiple times with a surgical knife. I recovered from my shock and grabbed him by the arm that was holding the sharp object. Me, child, what do you think you're doing? I gasp. Izuku's BLD because rubies. As soon it fell down on the cold hard ground. Midnight and 𝐻𝐿iah all had the same reaction. 𝐻𝐿iah on the other pick up one ruby and inspect it. 𝐻𝐿iah carried RG towards the room next door. 𝐻𝐿iah, oh my, indeed this is a rare mineral, a ruby. Midnight, ruby. 𝐻𝐿iah, yes indeed. Midnight, and from the size and weight I say a single ruby like this is worth $1.6 million. Midnight, $1.6 million. 𝐻𝐿iah, yep, that's right. Midnight, and with all of this rubies lying on the floor, in my calculations all of it is worth $50 million at least. Midnight / 𝐻𝐿iah / me, $50 million. 𝐻𝐿iah grind and knob his head. RD person, all of them were speechless. They all stared at 𝐻𝐿iah in disbelief. I mean, it's surprising to suddenly have 50 million worth of jewelry just lying on the ground. Izuku on the other hand grabbed one of his BLD off the floor, walking towards 𝐻𝐿iah and kneeled down in front of him and offered it to him. 𝐻𝐿iah, oh my, what is this you're giving it to me? He asked, surprised at the sudden action. Izuku nodded his in agreement. 𝐻𝐿iah, may I ask why? He said, skeptical by Izuku's response. But Izuku did next surprise him even more. Izuku puts his ruby down and held his stomach, and other free hand pointed at his mouth. All Might, Midnight, and 𝐻𝐿iah were all dumbfounded. Even 𝐻𝐿iah couldn't speak until he snapped. He felt pity for the poor boy who was willing to hurt himself just to pay for a meal. 𝐻𝐿iah, all Might, go to the cafeteria and grab every food they have in there. This boy is starving, we need to feed him. All Might, on it. After All Might left, 𝐻𝐿iah ordered Midnight to gather all the rubies and put them in a bug. Meanwhile, 𝐻𝐿iah grabbed the first aid kit and sat down besides 𝐻𝐿iah. Izuku on the other hand was still kneeling with his eyes locked on his wrist. 𝐻𝐿iah, Izuku, does it hurt? 𝐻𝐿iah is here to treat that for you. he said as he tried to out for his hand, but Izuku shake his head. "𝐻𝐿𝐿, why no dash?" 𝐻𝐿𝐿's went wide eyes. Izuku's wrist suddenly glowed a bright light. It was healing itself, and it faded in an instant. 𝐻𝐿𝐿 inspected Izuku's wrist and was fascinated by what he saw. There wasn't a single wound in it. Erasure, did he just heal himself? 𝐻𝐿𝐿, incredible. Just then All Might showed up with a lot of food on his hand and brought it towards Izuku. "All Might, eat up, kid," he said cheerfully. Izuku took a moment looking at the food before grabbing a bowl of katsudon and eating it. He seemed to enjoy it very much as he hurriedly munched everything in one go. "Midnight, careful, you might choke. Just eat it slowly, nobody's gonna take them away from you, they're all yours." She smiled. Izuku stopped eating and stared at her with mouth agape, which made her sweat drop. "Midnight, is there something on my face, dear?" she asked as she crouched down to his level. Izuku put 2 fingers on each side of his lips and pushed them up, trying to form a smile but failed. Midnight looked puzzled by what Izuku was trying to do. "Untie." 𝐻𝐿𝐿 spoke up. "𝐻𝐿𝐿, I think he was trying to copy your smile." "Midnight, what?" Midnight emotion turned sad. "Poor thing, he doesn't know how to smile," she thought, patting his head. "𝐻𝐿𝐿, looks like we need to take care of him from now on." From that moment, All Might has reached his limit. In a puff of smoke, All Might turned into his skinny form, his upper short feel on his wrist showing his skeleton figure and a huge wound on the side of his stomach. He sighed and announced, "𝗧𝗏, in it, I'm out of time." "Erasure, seems like it." "Midnight, put some clothes on, you look like an actual dead body." "𝗧𝗏, give me a break." While the 3 heroes joke around and 𝐻𝐿𝐿 is occupied with the rubies, Izuku gazed at 𝗧𝗏 with a blank face, his eyes never leaving his injury. Izuku reached his left hand pointing towards the wound. For a brief moment time just stopped and everything around him is dark. He spoke with a soft, quiet voice only he could hear. "Let there be light /n something like that." Tiny little ball of light came out of Izuku's hand, flying towards 𝗧𝗏's stomach. With a flash, the 3 went silent as 𝗧𝗏 suddenly shined. The 2 back away, confused on what's going on, until he stopped glowing. 𝗧𝗏 was wondering why he was like that, and he looked at his injury with wide eyes. His injury was no longer there, it was gone, as if it never there. The 2 gasped while 𝐻𝐿𝐿 went frozen, dropping the ruby he was holding. All turned around and faced Izuku, who was still raising his hand. "𝗧𝗏, did why you do to this?" Izuku stayed silent, his vision gone blurry. He closed his eyes and passed out. Person POV. 𝐻𝐿𝐿 and the others along RG all waited for the small boy to wake up. RG was inspecting on All Might and she was speechless. No broken organ, fractured ribs, or any sign of discomfort, is as if it was never even there in the first place. 𝐻𝐿𝐿 was stuck on his laptop until he finally found what he needed. 𝐻𝐿𝐿, apparently his quirk, Angel, not only can heal 100 people but it can also bring someone from the dead. So in other words, it can basically heal any injury, illness, and life-threatening diseases such as cancer as well as the dead ones. "𝗧𝗏, I'll thank him later when he wakes up," he said calmly, caresses Izuku's sleeping face. "Midnight, what about his BLD, 𝐻𝐿𝐿? So when I was searching for the underground lab document, I found out they have made a lot of fortune from Izuku's BLD. Apparently his quirk, Crystal, combined with his quirk, Mother Nature, that has the ability to control minerals, made his BLD turn into real rubies once it leaves his body. But that's not all. His tears can also become diamonds and his hair will turn into jades once it's cuts off, and based on this information his eyes are actually made of pure emerald." Midnight's jaw dropped and later passed out from shock with her head spinning in circles. "Erasure, are you saying this boy is made of actual gem?" "RG, that explains his wounded body. Poor child." "𝗧𝗏, are we gonna focus on his value more than his well-being?" "𝐻𝐿𝐿, of course not. Erasure, the thing we should talk about is how to keep this a secret and protect him from unwanted people that want to get him. If some people knew about this, they surely do whatever it takes to get him for wealth." "𝐻𝐿𝐿, I second that, but the problem is who's going to watch over him?" "𝗧𝗏, I would be more than happy to adopt him. I owe this child my life." What about your hero work?" "𝗧𝗏, well, that's a 𝐻𝐿𝐿, why don't we take turns on who will watch him if the others are busy?" "Erasure, agree." "𝗏, what about his mental and physical state? He can't speak or show any signs of emotion, he doesn't even feel pain." At that moment Izuku's emerald orbs fluttered open, staring at the people surrounding him blankly. 𝐻𝐿𝐿 noticed and spoke. "𝐻𝐿𝐿, good morning little angel, did you sleep well?" No response. Almighty smiled happily, picking Izuku up from the couch and brought him on his lap. Izuku looked up at him with a blank stare, then Almighty embraced him gently, careful not to break poor Izuku. Toshinori, thank you so much, Izuku. You healed me like a miracle. You saved my life. RG steps in front of the two and examines him by observing him closely. Little Izuku's face didn't change, and once again there was no sign of emotions. She sighed deeply as she then spoke. Toshinori, can you let go of him? Toshinori, why? RG, I just need to run a few checks and ask him some questions. Toshinori was a bit hesitant because he couldn't let go of the boy, but he knew RG was being serious. She felt sad for Izuku's current situation, so he obeyed and placed Izuku back on the couch. RG then approached him, then asked, Dear, can you understand me? Izuku nodded. RG smiled at his response. So even Toshinori and 𝐻𝐿𝐿. Toshinori, can you talk? He shakes his head. RG, are you mute, dear? She asks once again. He shakes his head. She opened her mouth to speak once again but was cut off by a strong gust of wind. Suddenly a shadow showed up on the ground, causing everyone except for Izuku to back away. Midnight jumped up from where she was laying and ran towards Eraserhead and hid behind him. Midnight, what is that thing? She freaked. The shadow moves slowly. 𝐻𝐿𝐿 raises an eyebrow, wondering what it might do. A few seconds later the shadow formed a sentence. I can't. Everyone turned to look at Izuku with a shock expression on their face. While Izuku remained silent, 𝐻𝐿𝐿 jumped down and inspected it, looking at Izuku then back at the shadow. 𝐻𝐿𝐿, he must be using his quirk to communicate since shadow is also part of nature. Toshinori, why can't you speak? He asked, concerned. The shadows disappear, which shocked them a bit. Izuku stared at the man in front of him, making Toshinori worry even more. Everyone else felt the same as they look at Izuku with pity. 𝐻𝐿𝐿 isn't obvious. He's traumatized from that place. That's not the only thing we need to worry about. He also lacks emotion. As you can see, he didn't react to anything even though he's in a new environment. Some people who have similar experience as him in their past would immediately be frightened by a single touch from a stranger yet remain calm and unresponsive. He clearly doesn't know how to feel scared or pain. He obviously faced torture worse than hell, which is why he's in this state. 𝐻𝐿𝐿 stand up from where he was sitting and jumped up, sat beside Izuku, was staring at for a while now. Midnight, what should we do about it? Erasure, let's get him used to the new world around him first. He's been stuck in that lab all his life. RD, I agree with Erasure. 𝐻𝐿𝐿, Toshinori, accompany me later in my office for the adoption papers. Midnight, wait, you're adopting him? Toshinori, he needs someone to care for him. Besides, I owe him my life. He gently gripped the side of stomach where his injury used to be while patting Izuku on his head. Erasure, what about his quirks? 𝐻𝐿𝐿, just keep this a secret. No one but us can know about his quirks. Midnight, what are we going to do with all this rubies then? She said as she grabbed one ruby out from the bag and looked at it closely. 𝐻𝐿𝐿, I'm going to hide them somewhere. Those rubies belong to Izuku, so we are not obligated to use them, right, Izuku? Midnight sighed. She was sad. 𝐻𝐿𝐿 smiled at Izuku, who was still looking at him. 𝐻𝐿𝐿 wondered why he kept staring until the shadow appeared on the ground once again. You can have them. 𝐿𝐼, she was stunned. She holds a wide grin on her face and screams in happiness. Midnight, really? I can have them? She said, her excitement never fades as she spoke. It's yours now if you want, she squeals in delight, making everyone else cover their ears except for Izuku. Midnight stop as she remembers that he just addressed her as 𝐿𝐼, which is her actual name. Midnight, wait, how did you know my name? She questions. The others all thought the same, and once again the shadow moved. Secret. At that moment everyone fell silent for a moment until Toshinori cleared his throat. Getting there. Attention Toshinori, let's not waste any more time, we need to work. 𝐻𝐿𝐿, let's go get those adoption papers. Midnight, RG, Eraserhead, watch Izuku for me. They nod in response. 𝐻𝐿𝐿 climbed on Toshinori's shoulders before they left towards 𝐻𝐿𝐿's office. As they left, the room went silent once again and Izuku's shadow disappeared. Midnight approached Izuku with a smile. Midnight, hey, can I really have them? They are your BLD, are you sure I should take it? She was concerned with a soft smile plastered on her face. Izuku nodded his head, then Erasure walked towards them wearing the same poker face as Izuku. He crouched down and spoke. Erasure, are you hungry? Izuku nodded in response. Erasure sighed and straightened up and leave. Midnight, where are you going? Erasure, getting that problem child some food. He left. Can see your wounds, dear, she said as she came in close. Izuku obeyed and took off his clothes. His wounds disappeared, no scares and no purple marks. RD hums as she inspected him. Did you heal yourself? He nodded. Midnight, that's great. But you do look a little skinny. Don't worry, 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝗧𝗏 will be back with some food. She pats his head. She then picks him up and squeezes him in adoration. 𝗧𝗏 and 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝗃 both arrived with papers in hand. 𝗧𝗏, where's 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝗃? Midnight, he left to get Izuku some food. Poor baby's hungry. She hugged him tight. 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝗃, Midnight, you might squeeze him to death. 𝗧𝗏 came in and grabbed Izuku out of Midnight's hold and cradled him in his arms. Midnight pouted in anger. Midnight, hey. You can't just take him. She yelled. 𝗧𝗏, actually I can. I'm his father now, he said with a grin across his face. She huffed. 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝗃, 𝗧𝗏, are you sure you can handle him? 𝗧𝗏, yes, I'm sure of it. Meanwhile, as they talk, do they even know what was going on inside the boy's head? He appears unresponsive. Yes, that's what they see, but do they know what's on his mind? He listens to their words, but he is quiet. Why? As he stared at the people around him, the only thing in his mind was torture going circles in head. This is what he's seeing, but more gore. Stay still. Cut his legs. Don't scream. Money, money, make him bleed more. So cute, you would make a perfect toy. Izuku shouted, his eyes close to silence. His mind, he wasn't afraid, he wasn't even sad, he wanted peace in his mind. But a person appeared in his thoughts. And he opened his eyes once again. It was faint, but he remembered a boy he once shared a room with before in the lab. He had red hair and eyes and a smile plastered on his face and the tears in his eyes. It was vivid, but he could remember the boy said before he disappeared. He's finally given in and he sleeps once again in 𝗧𝗏's arm. I'll come for you, Izzy, wait for me. RD person. At night around 9:30 p.m. 𝗧𝗏 brought home his new son Izuku in his newly bought house, turning the light on only to see a very unclean house. Boxes were basically scattered all over the place. There was no furniture or even a single curtain to be seen, only one small table in the living room which was very dusty. The place was very dirty, which is bad because 𝗧𝗏 just brought home a child. Getting him sick was not on his list of being a father. 𝗧𝗏 sighed in frustration. He forgot that he just moved and he didn't have the time to clean up because of his hero work, and with the day he just had, cleaning was impossible to do right now. He looked at the boy in his arms who was still sound asleep. 𝗧𝗏 had a smile across his face before he decided to go in the kitchen to make some food for both of them, but then realized there was no food on the fridge. He cursed under his breath. Deeply sigh in announced, which caused Izuku to wake up from his nap. 𝗧𝗏, sorry, did I wake you up? He asked nervously. Izuku remained unresponsive as his dull emerald eyes wandered his new surroundings. 𝗧𝗏 frowned, but let it be. He knew Izuku was temporarily mute and somehow flat effect for now, but he is determined to make him open up. Izuku just got out into a new world outside of that laboratory. He was well sure he will make him speak. He just needs time and patience. /n- flat effect, which is characterized by a severely restricted or non-existent expression of emotion. Flat effect can be a symptom of other conditions such as schizophrenia, autism, or post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm not a medical expert, but I read about it in a dictionary. Suddenly 𝗧𝗏's phone rang in a loud beeping noise. He reached to his pocket and picked up his phone. 𝗧𝗏, hello. Izawa, where are you at? 𝗧𝗏, my house. Why? Izawa, the one you just bought. 𝗧𝗏, yes, Izawa. I got some food for the problem child. I'll bring it over to you right now. 𝗧𝗏, don't you have night patrol? Izawa, I got the night off. I'll be there in a minute. He hung up. Although the underground hero 𝗍𝐻𝐻𝗃, or known as Izawa, may look like a hobo and he acts like he doesn't give a DMN about anything or anyone but is actually quite caring, 𝗧𝗏 mentally thanked Izawa for his kindness. Now he wouldn't have to go out to buy food. Relief wash over him, a smile creep on his face. He then felt a pair of eyes on him. He realized that it was just Izuku staring at him. He put the phone away and ran his finger through Izuku's hair. The little broccoli tilted his head, nuzzling onto 𝗧𝗏's shoulders. At that moment 𝗧𝗏's thought off one thing in his mind that made his heart jump out off his chest. 𝗧𝗏 adorable. He squeezes Izuku tightly, but not too tight so he wouldn't suffocate. Now he knows how Midnight feels when she petted Izuku earlier. Later on, Izawa showed up in front of the door holding a bag full of takeouts. 𝗧𝗏's sweat dropped. It was a lot of food to eat for just one kid. 𝗧𝗏 invited Izawa in. Once he went inside, he nearly dropped the bag he was holding. 𝗧𝗏 cackled awkwardly with Izuku still in his arms, and they both sat down on the living room since it's the only place that has a table. Izuku opened a box of takoyaki and ate it quietly on 𝗧𝗏's lap. 𝗧𝗏, Sorry I haven't had any time to tidy up the place. Ha, Aizawa, you got to be kidding me. Your house is too dirty. What if he gets sick? 𝗧𝗏, don't worry. With a puff of smoke, 𝗧𝗏 turned into his muscular form with his signature smile. I'll make this place spotless. Ha, he said proudly. Aizawa sighed, annoyed. He wasn't gonna argue without his coffee first. He was too tired to deal with his stupidity. His blood started to boil, so in a deep voice, Aizawa, you two are sleeping in my house tonight. There is no way I'm just gonna let you two sleep in this condition. His eyes turned red with anger. All Might returned to his original form and gulp. Aizawa is not a person you should mess with, and it scared the st out of him. 𝗧𝗏 cracked a smile, trying to act calm. Aizawa also calmed down, but then he noticed Izuku was staring at him. He raised an eyebrow, wondering why the little broccoli was looking at him. Aizawa, is there something wrong? You've been staring at me for a while now, he asked him. 𝗧𝗏 was surprised cause he didn't notice when Izuku stopped eating. He then spoke with a gentle voice. 𝗧𝗏, what's wrong? He asked, stroking his hair in a tenderly manner. Izuku didn't respond as he continued to eat his food. 𝗧𝗏, I think he was staring because you were activating your quirk. Aizawa grumbled as a response with an even more tired look on his face. 𝗧𝗏 just cackled at his friend's reaction. Izuku, on the other hand, kept eating as the world around him became silent. What he saw on Aizawa's back was no ordinary shadow. No, it was something else. It was a dark figure standing from behind Aizawa. It was the same figure he saw in the laboratory, but the difference was there is only one in the laboratory. There was multiple of them from behind each person he sees, but in different colors: red, green, blue, purple, yellow, orange, brown, black, white, and many more. Izuku knew what those figures meant, so he didn't mind seeing them because of his quirk angel. That's why he could see them. For now he was just listening to the two people talking to each other while the figure just watched him eat. He didn't have food like this before. He would usually pick up what he was thrown at and eat it. For people who experienced the same faith as him would be crying their heart out from a simple act of kindness, but for Izuku it didn't move his heart in the least. Time skip. 𝗧𝗏 locked the door in his house with Izuku, who was wrapped in a blanket on his arms, and then followed Aizawa to his house. They went to shortcut in an empty street. The walk towards Aizawa's house was silent, although there were dogs barking and neighbors yelling. It was peaceful in some way or another. Izuku gazes at the clear, shining, dark blue sky. The stars were out tonight. It was an appealing sight to see. This was his first time seeing something so gorgeous in his life, but he wasn't amazed by it. No, not even the most amazing things could make him feel. They finally arrived at Aizawa's house. Once they got inside, they were greeted by a crying, loud, blonde 𝐻𝗧𝗟𝗃. He yelled using his quirk. 𝗧𝗏 had to cover both Izuku ears to protect his hearing. Aizawa just gave his husband a tire face. He wasn't in the mood to argue with him, but 𝗍𝗧𝗟 had other plans. He slapped Aizawa across the face and fell on the ground with a loud thud, but when he fell, Aizawa stayed still and didn't move as 𝗍𝗧𝗟 kept yelling at him. 𝗧𝗏 had his mouth wide open, watching the two having a lover's quarrel. This was a bad idea, he thought. Izuku also watched both men as other scream his lounges out and the other drop dead on the floor, but what caught Izuku's attention was the figure behind those two. Aizawa's figure is the same shade of black, while 𝗍𝗧𝗟's figure had a mixture of red, blue, and light green. He didn't know what's going on. He didn't even wonder. 𝗍𝗧𝗟, do you know how worried I am when you didn't answer my call? 𝗧𝗏, we're still here. He made his presence known, and at that moment 𝗍𝗧𝗟 finally stopped yelling and turned to face him, which startled him cause he wasn't expecting to see All Might in his original form outside from Iu carrying a child. 𝗍𝗧𝗟, Yagi, what are you doing here? And who's the little guy? He questioned as he came towards them, leaving his sleepy husband by himself. 𝗧𝗏, this is my son Izuku. Yagi. He uncovered Izuku and showed him to 𝗍𝗧𝗟. Izuku is still wearing a poker face though. 𝗍𝗧𝗟 squealed like a girl seeing how cute Izuku was. Even with his skinny body, his white skin along with his green and emerald orbs practically stands out. He looks like an absolute doll in 𝗍𝗧𝗟's eyes. 𝗍𝗧𝗟, oh my gosh, you're so cute. 𝗧𝗏, yeah, I know, right? Anyway, Aizawa invited us here since my new house hasn't been clean yet. He said we could sleep here for tonight. 𝗍𝗧𝗟 wasn't expecting that. He didn't mind having visitors, but what bothered him was because his husband hadn't told him they were having their friends stay over with his kid, which he admits is very cute. 𝗍𝗧𝗟, come on and I'll bring you some tea. He looked at Izuku. What about you, little listener, want some milk? He said, smiling widely. Izuku glanced at him. His figure turned from red, blue, and light green to bright yellow. It only took Izuku a couple of seconds before he closed his eyes. Hizashi confused looks at Toshinori. Toshinori, he can't speak, he said, which shocked Hizashi. Hizashi, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Toshinori, no, it's fine, he assured him. Hizashi, let's go and I'll prepare the guest room so the little listener can sleep. He leads them to the living room. Aizawa finally got his sleep. Hizashi got busy preparing the guest room for the two. Izuku, like Aizawa, also wandered in the land of slumber in the arms of his father, who was standing by the door. Later on, Hizashi called them in. Hizashi, lay him down here, he whispered, realizing that the little broccoli was already asleep. Toshinori gently lay him down on the bed before leaving towards the living room. Hizashi, here, have some tea, said, bringing him a cup of tea, and sat down from across the table. Toshinori, thank you. He grabbed his tea and takes a sip. Hizashi, so tell me, how did you suddenly have a son? He asked. Toshinori, I adopted him. Hizashi, huh. But I thought you said back then didn't want kids. He questioned. Toshinori, well, this is different. I owe Izuku my life, he said, taking a sip. Hizashi laughed. You can't blame him though. I mean, how can a kid possibly save the #1 hero? Hizashi, 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲, that's a funny joke, huh? Toshinori, but I'm not lying though, he said in a serious tone. He stopped laughing with his eyes wide open. Hizashi, you got to be kidding me, right? He said in disbelief. With that said, Toshinori put down his tea and left his bottom half of his t-shirt and relieved his now healed stomach that used to have a large injury. Hizashi jolted up from his sit, skeptical. Hizashi, how? Toshinori, it was Izuku. He put his t-shirt back down. Hizashi, are you saying that little listener has a quirk that can heal people? Toshinori, it's a long story. Hizashi, well, the night is still young and I got nothing to do anyways, so tell me, he said eagerly. They were interrupted by Aizawa's heavy snoring. Toshinori, shouldn't you move him to your bedroom first? Hizashi, he'll get up in a minute, so it's fine. So tell Toshinori, but what I'm telling you is top secret, so don't tell anyone about this. Hizashi, is it that big of a secret? Toshinori, yes. Hizashi, okay, I won't tell, now explain. He waited for his friend to speak. Toshinori, you better sit back down cause this is gonna be a long night. Toshinori's POV, so that's basically it. After I explained to Hizashi about Izuku, he did not take it so lightly, not the bad kind, but he did however pass out and now on the floor like his husband. The two of them have been married for a while now and they're like yin and yang. Although they tend to argue from time to time, in the end one of them had to stop their argument if the other can't stand it. I'm amazed they are able to keep up with each other. He finally recovered from his state shock and returned from his position, fixing himself. Hizashi, who else knows about this? He asked. Only me, Nizu, Nemurizawa, and Art. I remark. Hizashi, that's a relief, he stated. Don't tell anyone, especially on your radio broadcast, I warned him. Hizashi, don't worry, I know how to keep my mouth shut. I don't want to make that little listener a target, he confirmed. Well then I'll join my son in bed now, so I'll leave first. Good night, I said, standing up and left. Hizashi gave me a nod before getting up, picking his sleeping husband up, carried him, closing the door behind me. I gazed down on Izuku resting so peacefully in bed. It concerned me because he looks dead. I see no sign of breathing or even a sound, but when I checked he was actually breathing, but very slowly. I got on the bed besides him, putting the covers over us. I held his hands on mine. It was very small. He looks so fragile. I don't know much about being a parent or how to properly raise a kid. I never had a family before, so it's new to me, but I'll do my best, not because I owe him my life, but because I want him to have someone to care and love him. Maybe then he'll understand the world around him, and then someday maybe I can see him smile. With Nizu's POV, Izuku is a mystery. The information about him is not entirely complete. Half of his file was ripped apart. I didn't tell anyone about this and I plan to keep it that way. When I was searching through their files, I later found out that all of the children's brought in the lab were quirkless except for Izuku, which is strange, but then I remembered the first word that came out of Izuku's file. Gifted. I think there is more to it and I can't see it yet. Apparently they have been working on a project called Recreation, but that's all I could find. I guess they don't want the world to know about it because later on the investigators found a pile of burned papers in one of their rooms along with their computers, and right now I'm trying to recover them. I need to get to the bottom of this and find out more about this project and what does it have to do with the quirkless children and Izuku. The next morning, with Toshinori person. The next day, the Yamazawa couple decided to help Toshinori with his house cleaning. Hizashi's jaw fell when he looked inside, then his eyes landed on something. Hizashi, Is that a dead rat? He screamed. Aizawa, looks like it. He remarked. Toshinori sat Izuku by the kitchen counter. He then gave him a coloring book and crayon to play with. Toshinori, can you stay here and play while we clean? He said, gently patting his head. As always, no answer. Toshinori, knowing that Izuku understood, so he joined the Yamazawa couple on cleaning. Not before he gave a quick glance at Izuku, seeing that he is now coloring. Aizawa, let's hurry up and clean this house before sundown. I still have my night patrol. Hizashi, I called Namuri to help tidy up. Toshinori, thank you. Now let's get this over with. As they began their home makeover, meanwhile Izuku was scribbling through the papers before watching the adults do their work. Well, technically he was watching their shadow figure behind them, but what caught his eyes was his father's. He didn't see them earlier, but Toshinori has, and it's white, though it's not just one, but it seems like there are 7 tiny souls flying around him too, and then they disappear along with the white figure. Aizawa's and Hizashi's too. At that moment Izuku's left eye got blurry as water came out of it, replaced by something hard. Izuku left it as it is, as he continued scribbling through the papers. Even when his cheeks are bleeding. Just then Namuri came bursting through the door, bags in hand. Namuri, I bought lunch, she shouted with a big smile across her face. Aizawa, glad you could join, he remarked. Namuri, no problem. Hey Toshi, where's the little angel? She beamed. Toshinori, right there in the kitchen counter, he yelled from across the living room. Namuri excitedly when she wanted to see the little angel so badly, but as she got there she wasn't expecting to see a bleeding boy crying from his left side. Namuri, guys, come over here quick, she screams. All 3 men rush in, wondering what happened. Toshinori was about to say something but stopped, seeing his son bleeding from his cheeks. Toshinori POV, I panicked the moment I saw him. Half of his face was scratched. I immediately checked on him and caressed his cheek. The others watched me. Luckily the bleeding stopped, but then I noticed the tear stain in his left eye. Did he cry? In an instant his scratches faded like smoke. He was healing himself while staring at me. He knows I'm worried for him. Relief wash over me with a sigh. Hizashi, are those diamond? He suddenly spoke from behind. I didn't even know until my gaze landed on Izuku's side. Rubies and diamonds drop lit. I'm astonished but also concerned about his well-being. I picked him up and cradled him in my arms. Izuku nuzzled on my chest. It's so adorable. My heart almost jumped out. Being a father would be a lot harder than I thought. Namuri and Hizashi sparkle when they see the gems up close. Namuri, we should decorate this in Izuku's room. Hizashi, like chandelier. Namuri, my sweat dropped listening to their conversation. I'm glad they weren't thinking of selling it for themselves, but those two can be a tad bit annoying when it comes this type of stuff, especially decorating. Looks like it's gonna a long day. I didn't win, but Aizawa is quite the whole time. When I turned around I saw him staring at a paper like the one I gave Izuku. Hey, what's that? I asked, curious. Aizawa, you are not gonna believe this. I was confused until he showed me what's in it and made my eyes wide open. Binary codes, written in crayons. I glanced down at Izuku, who was staring at me for a while now. Did you do this? He nodded slightly. Hizashi, what are you guys doing? He approached us with Namuri following behind. I showed them the paper. Namuri, binary codes. Aizawa, problem child was the one who made it, he stated. Hizashi, he can do that. Apparently, I remark. Aizawa, we should tell Nizu about this. I think the problem child has high IQ. Namuri, do you have to call every kid you counter like that? Aizawa, yes. Hizashi, enough, let's continue our work. We still have a lot to do. We tell Nizu tomorrow or the day after. Namuri, what about Izuku? At that moment the doorbell rang. My friends look at me, but I just shrug. Hizashi, I'll get it, he said. Luckily we're not in our hero costume. I can't have people knowing where I live. Hizashi, can I help you? He said, opening the door. Yes, we have a delivery for Mr. Toshinori Yagi. Must be my furniture. I thought, that me. Great. Well then just sign here and we'll bring your stuff inside, he said, bringing the paper in front of me. And sign it. Thank you, sir. All your stuff will be inside in a few moments. Seconds later more men came in carrying my things inside. There were 4 of them and it looks like they hit the gym pretty well, seeing how well built their bodies are. Aizawa, what's all this? He said, approaching me. My furnitures, they just arrived. I said. Namuri, do you have bed for Izuku? Yes, but I don't have a closet or clothes for him yet. Hizashi, let's go to the mall tomorrow and buy a whole bunch of cute clothes for Izuku. He squeal. Aizawa sigh at his husband's reaction. Seriously, real talk, how did these two meet? They're totally opposite. Even I can't keep up with them. Yeah, let's do that right, Izuku. He was now sound asleep, and oh my god, he's so cute, I almost squeezed him just now. Nemuri, the couch is all set, you can lay him down now. Thank goodness, I feel like I'm going to break him in his sleep if I held him any longer, he's just too cute. And now sound like a doting parent. I settled him down, making sure he's comfortable, and kiss his forehead. Nemuri, you're doing a great job being a dad. You think so? I'm still trying my best though. Nemuri, by the way you take care of him, say so. She smiled, so was I. Okay, let's get to work. Time skipped, the day went by fast, and it was almost midnight. The house was finally clean and fully decorated. Nemuri and Hisashi both done a great job doing both mine and Izuku's room as well as the bathrooms and guest room. Aizawa and I were responsible with the living room, the kitchen. Now the three of them are now passed out in the guest rooms. I was out in the backyard gazing at the stars, feeling the strong breeze through my skin, lost in my own thoughts. I grow without any supper, so I'm grateful for their help, although they didn't have to do anything. I guess this is what they call the perks of having friends. I cackled to myself. My sense said that to me when we were training. She was inspiration, my idol, my family and best friend. She was always there when I need her, but now thinking of her makes me sad. I felt something on my side when I looked. I'm surprised Izuku suddenly joined me here. He's wearing the blanket over him, shielding himself from the cold. Why are you here? Shouldn't you be sleeping? I said, picking him up. Well, he did sleep for an entire day, but why is he out? What he did next shocked me. He wrapped his tiny hands around my neck, embracing me. I don't know why time became slow. Is he trying comforting me? Hey, are you comforting me? I asked, which he nodded. In response, I returned the gesture by holding him close. It was peaceful, warm, and somehow comforting in a way. Thinking about it, how long has it been since I last had a hug? In my own mind, I think he's trying to not make me feel sad, which is funny because here I am, a grown man being comforted by a child that spent his life living in a hellhole place. It should be the other way around. My grip tightened on him, because right now I have a feeling letting Izuku go hurts my lonely soul. Person POV: a hero by day, a civilian at night. Toshinori, also known as All Might, takes his first step on being a best father he could be. Right now he's currently making breakfast for his little emotionless son, who is looking elsewhere. A week has already passed since All Might finished decorating his house, and his three friends stayed for a while to help him with it. Although he may have his work cut for him after he adopted Izuku, things took a big turn for him. Not only thus he has his hero duty, but he has to take care of Izuku too. On top of that, he must keep it a secret from public eye. He admits that it's not easy since there are people watching him from every corner. Even if he managed to hide his identity, there's no telling when people actually starts to follow him like stackers, and might even lead to his downfall. He was thinking if he did the right thing. Yes, Izuku healed his incurable injury, and now he can stay in his hero form for as long as he wants, and now he owes him a great deal. But he has his doubt because Toshinori isn't really father material, but his trying, he just hoped that it would be enough. Nemuri, good morning, she yelled from across the kitchen, which caused Toshinori to flinch. Toshinori, Nemuri, keep it down, those two are still sleeping, you wouldn't want to wake Shota up, do you? He remarked. Nemuri shivers at the thought of Aizawa being angry. Toshinori, sit down, breakfast is ready. Nemuri sat beside Izuku and greeted him with a smile, only to hear no response. He was gazing outside through the window, wearing an expressionless face. He looked as if he was lost in his own mind, but really it was just the interest in view. Izuku is a child with no emotions, feelings, or even thoughts. He could imagine his appealing like a mindless doll being displayed in a shop, but he could see things no one can ever know except for him and him alone, things that are cruel, horrifying, scary, yet mysterious, just like in Wonderland where everything turns upside down, but much more terrifying. Nemuri sighs in disappointment. She knew the boy is unresponsive and she wouldn't try pressuring him because he just got out from the laboratory where he spent his 5 years of living. She thought that he needs time to adjust to the new world around him before he can finally speak. Toshinori places their breakfast on the table. It was egg roll, katsudon, a bowl of salad, coffee for Aizawa, 3 cups of tea, 1 glass of milk for Izuku. Nemuri practically drools seeing the food on her plate, showing how hungry she was. Just then the Yamazawa couple came down from upstairs to the smell of fresh-made food. Hisashi, Yon, good morning, he said, sitting next to his husband, who already engulfed his coffee down to his trout, and they all began to eat. Toshinori sat in the middle next to Izuku. Seeing that he didn't touch his food and just stare at it made him worried. Toshinori, Izuku, are you not hungry? He asked no response, which made him even more concerned. He was about to ask again, but he was surprised when Izuku suddenly picked up the egg roll with his bare hands and ate it. He doesn't know how to use a chopsticks. He thought, watching him eat as well as everyone at the table. Toshinori, Izuku, come here, I'll feed you. He picked Izuku up from his seat and placed him on his lap. Izuku looked at him. You might say maybe he was confused by his action, but no, he wasn't. In fact, he was staring at the 7 tiny souls flying around Toshinori's head, including his white smoky figure. Toshinori took his chopsticks, grabbing one piece of egg roll and brought it in front of Izuku's mouth. To his relief, Izuku takes it and slowly gulping it down to his stomach, making Toshinori smile in satisfaction. Nemuri, hey Toshi, let's go to the mall today and pick up some cute clothes for Izuku, she said while eating. Hizashi, Nem, what about your hero work? He asked. Nemuri, I got the week off, so what do you say, Toshi? Thinking about it, Toshinori agreed. After all, he can't have Izuku keep wearing his oversized t-shirt, although it looks kinda adorable on him. He still needs proper clothes to wear. Nemuri, well then, it's been decided. Shota, Hizashi, are you two coming along? Aizawa, can't, Hizashi. Sorry, we can't. I have a hero work and Shota here needs to sleep for his night patrol, he said, continuing to eat. Nemuri, okay then. Looks like it's just us, Toshi, she said excitedly. He just nods since his attention is focused on feeding Izuku. The 3 stared at him. It was like they are seeing a perfect image of a father happily feeding his son. Toshinori noticed them and was confused by their gaze. Toshinori, what? Aizawa, nothing. They continue eating their food, making Toshinori even more confused by it. He questioned whether there was something they wanted to say or ask, but decided to just shrug it off since he was busy taking care of Izuku. Time skip. In the afternoon, Hizashi and Aizawa went home, leaving Nemuri and Toshinori alone with Izuku to go shopping. They arrived at the mall with Yagi carrying Izuku the whole time. It was very lively seeing as there were so many people walking around buying stuff they wanted. Kids were playing on the arcade, others were chatting among themselves, which made our number 1 hero a bit concerned. He thought that Izuku might be overwhelmed by all this crowd, that's why he's keeping him close, but then again Izuku could hardly feel anything. Our hero is just being an overprotective parent. On the other hand, Nemuri was excited to choose both of their outfits for them. She had a thing for clothes. You can't stop her until she's satisfied with what she picked. By now she's jumping from men clothing to kids. She was like a beast searching for her prey. Izuku stared at her, unfazed by her action, while Toshinori chuckled nervously. He is used to her choosing his clothes for him since he isn't really fashionable, and Nemuri is like a sister to him, so he doesn't mind, although she can be a tad bit psycho. Nemuri, Toshi, doesn't this hoodie look good on Izuku? She yelled from afar. Toshinori, ah yeah. Sweat dropped. Nemuri, this one too. It's perfect for you, Toshi. Wait, no. This one. Or maybe this one. Oh. This would look great on Izuku. Our symbol of peace had his mouth agape, watching her going crazy, grabbing all kinds of clothes, including for herself, not just him but all the other customers too. In the end they ended up with a whole bunch of bags filled with brand new sick clothes. Now they were at the toy shop. Nemuri suggested that he should buy toys for Izuku to play with, which he immediately agreed since he was also thinking the same thing. But when they showed Izuku different kinds of toys, he just shakes his head, saying he doesn't like any of them. After a while they both gave up on making him choose and left the store. Both were wondering if it's because of his past or does he really not like any of them. They can't force him if he truly didn't want it. They're just sad because usually kids his age would go insane to have one of those, yet he's uninterested. The two wandered around the mall searching for more things to buy. It was 9:26 p.m. The mall closed at 10:30 p.m., which means they have to leave soon. Toshinori, let's leave, it's already late. Nemuri, sure, let's go home, my girlfriend is going to kill me for coming home late. Ugh. Toshinori, I don't think so, I mean you bought her gifts knowing her she'll let it slide. He smiled. Nemuri, I hope so, or else I might as well be dead meat. My girl can be as scary sometimes. They both laughed for a moment until Toshinori noticed that Izuku was gently pulling his hair, looking at something from afar. Toshinori, Izuku, what is it? He asked. Izuku pointed towards what seems to be a bookshop. Confused, he asked Izuku if he wants to go there, which he nodded as a reply. The two look at each other before going to the shop. As they got inside, our little jewel eyes scanned the shop from top to bottom. Multiple books were displayed like a mini library. Toshinori and Nemuri were both curious as to what Izuku wanted. This is his first request, so they're happy about it. Our little broccoli gaze landed on a certain type of book. Once again he pulled Tashinori's hair, pointing at it. Both heroes look at where he was pointing, and it seems like Izuku pointed at the science book section. Nomiuri, science. Wait. Izuku, you know how to read. He nods slightly in response, which surprised them. They thought he couldn't, seeing as he can't speak. Well, technically Izuku isn't really mute, he just doesn't want to talk. Like Izuku requested, they go into the science section where books are organized alphabetically from A-Z. Izuku made a grabby hand on one of the books from letter A. Midnight immediately grabbed one book from the shelf and read the title, Nomiuri, Astronomy. She turned to face Tashinori, who had the same puzzle expression. All Might looked at Izuku, asking if that was what he wanted. Izuku then nodded as a yes. Out of nowhere a faint sound of footsteps can be heard. An old man holding a cane in his left hand approached them with a smile. My, it's rare to see kids buying books from this shift, huh? He joked. Nomiuri squeals by the sudden voice and instantly hides behind her friend, who tightens his arms around Izuku protectively. "Ha, did I scare you youngsters?" He joked again. Embarrassed, Nomiuri came out of hiding and apologized to the old man, saying she was just startled. You don't have to, young lady, it should be the other way around, huh? She laughed along with him. The old man then glanced at Izuku as if observing him. Tashinori saw this and quickly turned into a defense mood. The man's eyes widened and laughed at his action, with Nomiuri trying to contain herself from her friend's overprotectiveness. Ha, don't worry, I'm planning on stilling your son. I'm Akane Aoi, by the way. He greeted Tashinori. Tashinori Yagi, he replied. Akane glances down at Izuku for a moment. Izuku did the same. Now their eyes meet. Akane smiles widely and him patted his head. Akane, he's a smart child, I can tell from his IQ. Tashinori/Nomiuri, my quirk allows me to see other people's IQ level. Nomiuri, wow, really? Your quirk is amazing. She beamed. Akane, thank you, young lady, he said. Tashinori, how much is his IQ level? He asked calmly. Curious Akane, it looks like his IQ level is at 120. Tashinori froze by the information. Nomiuri had her mouth dropped. Oh, Nizu is going freak for sure. Akane cackled before he takes one book from each shelf in the alphabet. After that, both heroes recovered from their state of shock and whispered to each other. Nomiuri, should we? She whispered so only he could hear. Tashinori, no. If that rat finds out, he'll go even more insane than he already is. Nomiuri. Okay, she stated. Just then Akane came back with 4 bags of books and handed it over to Tashinori. Tashinori, why are you giving this? He said, confused. Akane, it's for your child, he seems to like science, he said. His gaze remained on Izuku as their eyes meet once again. Nomiuri, wait, you're giving them for free? She was stunned. Akane, yes, think of it as a gift. Tashinori, but why? He questioned. Then Akane gave him a smile. Akane, my daughter used to love reading books, especially science, but now she's gone. Your son reminded me of her, he confessed, causing the two to feel guilty and sad. Nomiuri, sorry. Akane, no, it's okay, at least she's in a better place now, he assured them. He then checked his watch. It was already 10 p.m. He hummed, realizing that it was almost time to close his shop. Akane, you 3 should head out now, it's late, who knows what danger might come at night, he worriedly said, unaware that he's literally talking to the symbol himself. Tashinori, will be careful, thank you for the books. He bowed, slightly grateful for his kindness. The man had a genuine smile across his face. And he closed and waved them goodbye. After they left Akane, he had a grain plastered on his face and spoke. Akane, a gift is a curse, yet a curse can become a gift. How funny, it hasn't even been 1,000 years yet, but the gifted child has been reincarnated. How unfortunate, I was starting to like this world, I guess it can't be helped. With that said, he disappeared. All Might and Midnight part ways since Nomiuri needed to be with her girlfriend. Once the father and son got home, Tashinori put all of their new stuff on the table and went to their rooms. He first put Izuku down on his bed. Today has been a really long day, and right now Tashinori wants nothing more than a good night's sleep. After he tucked Izuku in, he gently placed a quick kiss on Izuku's forehead. Despite knowing that his adopted son possesses so much ability like today, he just found out that his son is a genius but didn't acknowledge it. He wants to think of Izuku as a normal kid since he wanted to give him a better childhood, so although he may be advanced, he promised to himself that no matter what happens he's going to protect him. Once Izuku closes his eyes, Tashinori left and goes to his room. He basically throws himself on the bed, feeling comforted by the soft pillow from the day. He just had, it's only reasonable for him to do it. In a matter of seconds he fell asleep meanwhile. Izuku was wide awake in his bed staring at the ceiling. No, rather he's staring at a creature that's been watching him. Izuku is not in his current world. Right now he's in a twisted place where everything is black and white with several eyes staring at him like a pack of wolves. But instead of being afraid like most people, he's unfazed by them. They're not just creatures hiding in the shadows. No, they aren't their ghost. Izuku got up from his bed and opened his window gazing at the moon, but it soon disappeared along with everything around him like the world had turned upside down. There were several creatures looking at him and it's terrifying. He closes his eyes and puts his hand together. With a soft quiet voice he spoke, but only he and the creatures can hear. The light of my life, my God whom I love, witness these pitiful souls who have gathered here, and may your love reign upon us. Glory be to the Father Almighty, my Lord God. For this world is blessed by you. May the people you have given your blessing be good. His eyes flutter open and his emerald green orbs shine, and then the creatures all vanished and the world came back to its original state. May this world be blessed, for it is corrupt by both good and evil. Person 𝗏𝗏 is in a bitter situation. Not only did he receive a 2-day mission, but there was nobody to take care of Izuku while he's gone. Usually Namuri Hisashi or Aizawa were supposed to be the ones to care of him when he's out doing hero work, but apparently the 4 of them received the same mission. He could hire a babysitter, but he can't risk someone finding out about Izuku's ability, and he can't exactly bother Recovery Girl because she already had her work piled up, which means he only has one option left and is not happy about it. Meanwhile, 𝐻𝐿 has been locked up in his office ever since they found Izuku. He's been trying to figure out what this project called recreation, and why does Izuku's file name was gifted. The whole laboratory has been destroyed along with everything in it. Not only that, but all the people who were working in the lab either got killed in the rescue mission or committed suicide. He's losing his patience day by day, but every time he was close to figuring it out, somehow he felt like he was going even further away from it. At this point he's gonna lose his mind. Recovery Girl would often stop by to check up on him. Of course she doesn't know what 𝐻𝐿 is up to. Nobody does. All they know is that he locked himself up like a mad scientist or something. Amongst all the files within the lab, only the quirkless children file didn't get burned, which is strange. They seem to be hiding a big project and it involves Izuku in it. The other half of his file have been burned. 𝐻𝐿 tried to recover the computers, but apparently one of the scientists that had been working there has a quirk that can destroy data systems. Feeling frustrated, he throws away everything in his table, letting out a deep sigh. He's exhausted and angry. He had forgotten about his other work because of his investigation. Now there's a big pile just sitting in his table waiting to be organized. He knew he needed to stop and focus on doing his job properly, so he left the investigation aside, grabbed a pen and began scribbling through his paperwork. A few hours later there was a knock on the door, which is weird because it's the weekend. All the staff have gone out to do their hero duty, and usually RG would come in without knocking, and it couldn't be Aizawa, Yamada, or Yagi, since those 3 will only come when they're called in. 𝐻𝐿, come in, he said to his surprise. The one who opened the door is none other than 𝗏𝗏 Yagi in his hero form, holding a small broccoli in arms along with 2 backpacks. All Might. 𝐻𝐿, I need you to watch Izuku for 2 days. 𝐻𝐿, and may I ask why? He raised an eyebrow. All Might, because no one can. Midnight Present Mick and me are in the same mission. Aizawa is Aizawa, and can't bother RG because she has way too many patients to take care of. And lastly, I can't exactly risk someone discovering Izuku's ability knowing that they will most likely kidnapped him. That's why I'm asking you to look after him while I'm gone, he said. Thinking about it, he has a point. 𝐻𝐿 wanted to decline, but like All Might said, they can't trust Izuku to some stranger. He may not look like it, but 𝐻𝐿 is soft-hearted when it comes to small children, so although he is quite busy, he accepted 𝗏𝗏's request. All Might, are you sure? He asked, a bit hesitant. 𝐻𝐿, yes. Just set him over there on the couch since I'm almost done with my work. All Might placed Izuku by the couch and dropped one bag next to Izuku. He made sure Izuku has everything he needs. All Might, 𝐻𝐿, I trust you won't do anything to him, he remarked. 𝐻𝐿, goodness, I would never do anything to an innocent child like Izuku. He stated he knew 𝐻𝐿 wouldn't, but is still a bit hesitant. After all, this is the first time he's leaving Izuku in his care, though he doesn't have any other choice. He just hopes nothing happens. All Might, all right, I trust you. He crouched down to Izuku's level. Eyes be good while I'm gone, okay? He said to him. After that he places a quick kiss on Izuku's forehead, gets up and walks Towards the door, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 watches this and is amazed by his parenting. He honestly thought he wouldn't pull it off cause he knew 𝗧𝗏 adopted Izuku out of gratitude for healing his incurable injury, but seeing how affectionate he is, made 𝐁𝐮𝐴 smile. 𝐁𝐁, I'm counting on you. With that, All Might left. Izuku watched as his father left. The rat watches as Izuku's gaze never leaves the door, feeling concerned he was about to talk to him, but then 𝐁𝐮 remembers he has a lot of work in his hands, so with a heavy sigh 𝐁𝐮 went back to his papers, making sure to finish all of it by the end of the day. B began scribbling. Second turned to minutes, turned to hours. Needless to say, he fully neglected on Izuku, who was staring at him the whole time. Time skip. It was now night time. 𝐁𝐮 jumped out of his seat, stretching his body, but then when he turned around he saw Izuku quietly staring in the corner. 𝐁𝐮 panicked. He had completely forgotten about the little broccoli. Feeling guilty and worried, he immediately approached him. How long has been since All Might drop him off? 𝐁𝐮, little mouse. Izuku turned and looked at him with the same blank face, getting off the couch and just stood there. 𝐁𝐮, are you alright? He nodded. 𝐁𝐮, is there anything that you want? Feeling a bit guilty for neglecting him, unexpectedly Izuku pointed at the cheese board that was laying on the shelf. Weird. 𝐁𝐮 didn't remember putting it there since it was always placed by the drawer. Maybe he just forgot. 𝐁𝐮, you want to play? Izuku nodded. 𝐁𝐮, you know how to. Once again Izuku nodded his head. It's a surprise for 𝐁𝐮. Well, why wouldn't he be? Izuku has a lot of things you wouldn't expect. But in 𝐁𝐮's case, he just thought maybe it was because the child was bored and was looking for a playmate. After all, Izuku is a child. Maybe he was looking for attention. But it was already 9 p.m. He had to admit he was feeling a bit sleepy. 𝐁𝐮, little mouse, why don't we play tomorrow? It's already time to go to bed. No response was made, only a moment of silence. 𝐁𝐮 was worried if he somehow upset the child. He opened his mouth to speak but was interrupted by Izuku's sudden movement. His eyes followed the little bean who was walking towards the shelf. Guess he really wants to play. With a sigh, 𝐁𝐮 jumped on the shelf and grabbed the chessboard. 𝐁𝐮, little mouse, one game and that's it, okay? Izuku 𝐁𝐻 placed the cheeseboard on the floor as they both sat down. 𝐁𝐮 though he would make it a quick game and make Izuku win as to make up for his neglectful act. Even if Izuku knows how to play, there's no way a kid could beat him, so why not lose on purpose? Little did he know Izuku was not an ordinary kid. 𝐁𝐮 made the first move followed by Izuku and it went on for minutes. 𝐁𝐮 purposely made the wrong move to make it a quick game, but he didn't realize Izuku was not gonna make it happen. As for that, the game went on for an hour or so. 𝐁𝐮 was confused as to why it would take this long to lose a game. With all this time, he could have just noticed that Izuku was not making him lose on purpose. And so on and on. It has been 2 hours and the game was still not finished. Even though they only have the queen, king, a few horse left on the board, it still wasn't stopping. It's like every time 𝐁𝐮 made a move to make himself loose, it would be the opposite. After some time, 𝐁𝐮 finally came to acknowledge what was going on and he immediately confronted Izuku about it. 𝐁𝐮, Izuku are doing this. He hopes it wasn't. I mean, he couldn't be a genius, right? But then again, Izuku did spend his life in the laboratory. What if he is? He had to restart his investigation about Izuku all over again, and he was not liking that, though it's gonna make a mess out of him for sure. He was like a madman after all his heavy research. And to his utter disappointment and shock, Izuku nodded as he made another move. Something inside 𝐁𝐮 screamed. He can't believe Izuku is actually what he thought he was, so he decided to make their game serious to test his level of IQ. They both restarted their game, but this time it was gonna be serious, and it went on for another hour. 𝐁𝐮 was enjoying every minute of it. Izuku was in fact a genius. Did All Might knew about this? He's going to ask him later when he gets back from his mission. Izuku would make a perfect student. 𝐁𝐮 was not losing that opportunity. If only he found out sooner, then Izuku would be his kid, not All Might's. With one final move, Izuku won the game. 𝐁𝐮 is stunned as this is the first time he was beaten in chess, but also delighted by the results. Oh, he was definitely going to make Izuku his. Izuku gazed outside the window, admiring the sheer beauty of the moon, or at least something that looks like the moon. He was not in the original world again, and just like in his room, he's being watched by black, smoky, red-eye creatures. 𝐁𝐮, little mouse, let's play again tomorrow, sounds good. And also, do you know anything besides chess? He said with a hint of excitement. Izuku nodded. 𝐁𝐮, what about reading? Do you know how to? He nodded. 𝐁𝐮, what about writing? He nodded again. 𝐁𝐮. Once again he nodded. 𝐁𝐮's face lit up. He was sure Izuku is above 100. Then the door opened. 𝐁𝐮, how long do you tend to lock yourself up? The old lady said. 𝐁𝐮, 𝐴𝐻 discovered something spectacular. 𝐴𝐻, what do you mean 𝐻𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲? Is that Izuku? She smiled, approaching them. 𝐻𝐮𝐦𝐦, he's a genius. 𝐴𝐻, 𝐻𝐮𝐦𝐦, Izuku is a genius. He just defeated me in 𝐀𝐮𝐬𝐴. 𝐴𝐻, really? Suddenly the door burst open, All Might crash in, clothes torn and dirty. All Might, where's Izuku? The three stared at him like some kind of wild beast. Izuku ran up to his father and waved at him. All Might beamed, embracing him into a bear hug. All Might, thank heavens you're okay. 𝐻𝐮𝐦𝐦, you thought I did something to him. He stated. All Might, that's because you're you. He remarked, I thought you're supposed to come back tomorrow. All Might, I finished my mission early so I can take Izuku away from Satan. 𝐻𝐮𝐦𝐦, what did you just call me? Are you too? Not in front of the child. There was a moment of silence, then 𝐻𝐮𝐦𝐦 cleared his throat. 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻, anyway, All Might, are you aware about Izuku's IQ? All Might flinched. 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻, so I was right. All Might, don't you dare. 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻, I'm planning to, but I can't take him unless I have your permission. There's no way in hell am I going to hand my son over to you. And with a blink of an eye, 𝐴𝐻 throws her at them. 𝐴𝐻, you two stop that. All Might, take Izuku home. And you stop your crazy ideas. He's just a child. Feeling a bit scared, the two shut up. All Might grabbed Izuku's stuff and left without a word. 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻, what a pity. 𝐴𝐻, are you seriously going to make a child your student? 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻, of course his IQ is far greater than his peers. He would make an excellent student of mine. 𝐴𝐻, sigh, and this is why. 𝐴𝐻 hates you. A smile formed on 𝐻𝐻𝐻's face, but somehow he felt like he had forgotten something. 𝐴𝐻 noticed. 𝐴𝐻, is something wrong? 𝐻𝐻𝐻, I can't explain, but I feel like I've forgotten something. 𝐴𝐻, check your desk, maybe you forgot to fill out the paperwork. He went to his table and checked his papers. 𝐻𝐻𝐻, it's not it, he said. Then his eyes landed on a file that said, Izuku. He opened it and saw nothing particular. It was just Izuku's name, quirk, and date of birth. 𝐻𝐻𝐻, seems like I'm hallucinating. 𝐻𝐻, that's because you've been locking yourself in your office for the past 2 weeks. 𝐻𝐻𝐻, I did. He said, a bit confused. 𝐻𝐻, don't tell me you're starting to get amnesia. Strangely, he couldn't understand why he was like this. He thought maybe he was overworking himself, so he left the file on the table. Both he and 𝐻𝐻 left the office with the lights still on with All Might and Izuku. All Might, seriously, that rat can be a pain. He entered Izuku's room with him in his arms. There he placed Izuku down on the bed and tucked him in and left after he gave him a good-night kiss. Then the room started to glow. Izuku teleported in another dimension. He was floating in a black and white abyss with several books, toys, and clocks scattered around in midair. He placed himself on the clear water and spoke. Humans are creatures made by God. They are not allowed to know the true form of this world, for God blessed them with gifts, and for that a price is made. They are forbidden to enter the true shape of this world. RD person, as if right now with everything in life. Izuku was now 14 years of age, and for the past years he had showed many remarkable talents and intelligence. Although he kept his quirk to himself, he's still unable to speak though. Everyone did their best to learn sign language in order for them to understand Izuku, including his father of course. And over the past years they've came to acknowledge that Izuku was more than what they thought, which is why 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻 and 𝐴𝐻 would always fight over him. Ever since he was 10 years, All Might would bring him to one of his missions occasionally if there's nobody to look after him, and of course he had to keep it a secret, so All Might would just hide him to some nearby safe place even though he didn't have to worry about him, cause apparently Izuku can learn martial art, close combat and the art of weaponry just by watching heroes and military in action. But All Might developed this overprotective, doting and spoiled side of him towards Izuku, so let's just say life becomes more peaceful for them. As if right now today is All Might's birthday, everyone has been busy decorating the house for 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻's surprised birthday party, including 𝐻𝐻𝐻 and 𝐻𝐻. On the other hand, Izuku was distracting his father by making him buy a bunch of books, and knowing 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻, he gladly did so. After all, he does love spoiling his son. By now they're walking out of the store with Yagi holding his son by the shoulder as he is quite paranoid when Izuku is out with him. Well, you can't blame him. Izuku is like a doll, handsome, cute and small, which is why 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻 got his head turning left and right while being on guard. Eventually, after a few minutes later, they finally to their sweet home, only to see something unexpected. All, happy birthday. Toshinori had his wide open. He wasn't expecting his comrades to actually hold a birthday party for him. Izuku tag on shirt and began to make hand sign. Surprise, this made the grown man teary with joy and dotted on him, embracing him in a dotting hug. Toshinori, ah, Izuku, you know about this too. My baby is so sweet. Nomiuri-ke, what about us? We planned this party for you. HMP. Toshinori, cackling, thanks everyone, I'm grateful. Aizawa, seriously, you can be too much to your son. Toshinori, why wouldn't I? Izuku is so sweet, I can't help but spoil my baby. Nizu, not to mention super intelligent, I'll gladly teach him. It's a good opportunity to expand his knowledge, he stated. Toshinori, to hell with you, rat. Hizashi, hey. Cut it out, you two. Let's celebrate. Art, I agree with Zashi. Toshinori, well then let's go ahead and enjoy ourselves. They were laughing with each other, playing games, and even having lunch together while chatting about their life. It was pretty lively. Izuku, however, has a very, very small smile on his face, but everyone was too busy chatting to even notice. Now it's time for the opening presents. The first one was from Nomiuri. It was a long-sleeve turtleneck black outfit with black jeans to match. Toshinori, wow, thanks Nem. Another fashionable outfit. Nomiuri, you're welcome, she said with pride in her voice. Next was from Hizashi, who got him a silver watch with an All Might face in it. Toshinori, thank you. Then it was RG turn. She got him a first aid kit and some candies which Izuku loves to eat. Toshinori, why the first aid kit? Are you seriously going to ask? Toshinori, never mind, I'm giving the candies to Izuku. They both smiled. Up next was Aizawa's. It was a coffee machine and of course another watch, but this time it's just an ordinary golden watch. Toshinori, a coffee machine really? Aizawa, you need it? Toshinori, sigh, alright thanks. Last but not least Nizu, he gives Toshinori a new yellow color suit and a box full of books. Toshinori's, I'm guessing the books are for Izuku. Why yes, he said with a grin. Toshinori, he let out a big sigh. Izuku was already too smart. Not just that, but for the past years he raised Izuku. He knew Izuku was not like his peers. He doesn't understand the joy of being a child. Toshinori, Nizu, I already told you he doesn't need any more books to read. While he's still in his youth, I'm planning on reviving his childhood, so please don't give him more reason to not experience it. Is already so mature. I'm afraid someday he'll realize that he didn't experience his youth. Nizu, he can do both, which is why I'm here. Toshinori, Nomiuri, are you really going to do that? Toshinori, what are you talking about? Aizawa, Nizu here planned on enrolling Izuku in AU next year. Toshinori, Nizu, it's not a bad idea. He can make some friends while training to become a hero, and he can also have some private lessons with me after school hours. Toshinori, absolutely not. Look Nizu, I know where this is going, but I'm not even sure if Izuku wants to be a hero. Nizu, but it seems like he agreed on my plan. Toshinori was about to speak but was cut off by Izuku tagging his shirt. Izuku slightly nodded his head and made hand gestures. Agree. Toshinori, you want to become a hero? He said, shocked. Izuku nodded. Nomiuri, that's great Izuku. I can design your hero costume for you. Toshinori, wait. Izuku, are you sure you want to become a hero? There are less dangerous courses you can pursue, like a doctor or a flower shop owner. Izuku shake his head. Toshinori froze. His overprotectiveness kick in. He was scared by the possible outcomes with Izuku fighting off villains in the streets, especially since Toshinori himself faced it countless times. Nizu, well then that settles it. Toshinori was not happy about it. He held Izuku by the shoulder, bringing him close to him, clearly concerned about his son's well-being. Izuku, however, stared at his father. He knew he was sad about this, seeing as the smoky figure behind him turned blue. Before Toshinori spoke, he sighed deeply. Toshinori, if that's what Izuku wants then. Everyone smiled at him. Hizashi, let's party. He smiled sadly. Oh, don't worry, I'll smack Nizu later, the old lady said, which made him smile. Nizu, you know I can hear you. Nizu. Hizashi/Nomiuri, ha ha ha. Toshinori, thanks for all the gifts guys. You're welcome. Nomiuri, of course. Everybody began their conversation laughing from Hizashi's jokes. Nomiuri talking with RG and Nizu simply drinking his tea on the side, until suddenly a soft voice can be heard, happy birthday. They all became silent upon hearing the small voice. RG, what was that? Toshinori's eyes fell to his son, only to saw something he thought he would never see. Unexpectedly, to his utter disbelief, he saw Izuku smiled for the first time. 𝗧𝗏 did 𝐻𝐼𝐻𝐺 just. Izuku opened his mouth at that moment. Everyone was looking at him as if time had stopped moving. Izuku, happy birthday, loud gasped fell the room. Shock upon hearing Izuku's voice for the first time. Overwhelmed by happiness, 𝗧𝗏 engulfed Izuku into a tight embrace. Tears of happiness wash over like a waterfall. Izuku let his father do so, now seeing as his once blue shadow became bright yellow. Hisashi, oh my gosh. Izuku spoke. Nemuri, did anyone caught that on camera? Nizu, I did. Oh, you did? Nizu nodded. Hisashi and Nemuri gathered for a hug except Aizawa, RG and Nizu, who were smiling at them and stayed like that for a while. 𝗧𝗏 𝗧𝗏. He was cut off by his son's hand touching his face. Sorry, he spoke quietly, wiping off the remaining tears of his eyes. 𝗧𝗏 smiled and hugged the little broccoli once again. Nemuri, hey guys, let's buy another cake for Izuku. Aizawa sighed. Hisashi, oh come on, show, he said, getting on his husband's lap. Aizawa, fine. 𝗧𝗏, not in front of my child. He immediately covered Izuku's eyes, both blushed slightly, Hisashi cackling nervous while Aizawa just looked away in embarrassment. Nemuri was taking pictures as well as Nizu, who would most likely use it for blackmail. RG was laughing while Yagi still had covered Izuku's eyes shut. On in all, the night was fun for them. Yagi spent the best birthday of his life and is happier than ever knowing that his son could talk. Hisashi and Aizawa are making out in another room, midnight chatting with RG and Nizu being well. Nizu. Time skip a week later. 𝗧𝗏, Izuku ready? Izuku teleported in front of his father wearing a bunny sweater and green shorts. Adorable. The father was currently doting on his son, then he pulled away with a grin. 𝗧𝗏, let's go. Little Bean nodded his head, standing beside his dad, and left their house. Upon walking to the crowded street, they encountered many shops selling Chinese food and stuff. They both walked side by side with one hand around Izuku's shoulder, mainly because 𝗧𝗏 was being paranoid. Well, to be precise, people were looking at Izuku like some kind of jewel. Having a gorgeous baby face can be a hustle, especially since Izuku is small, like 4 feet 3 inches. He looks more like an elementary student despite his age. Both males went inside a small cafe, being greeted by their regular waitress Hanako. Hello Mr. Yagi, the usual. 𝗧𝗏, yes, but can you add 2 slices of rainbow cake? Hanako, coming right up. The two sat down by their usual spot by the window, sitting across each other. Later on, their order arrived. 𝗧𝗏 had a cup of coffee while Izuku had a iced matcha and 2 slices of rainbow cakes. Hanako, enjoy. After the waitress left, Izuku took a bite of his cake, melting from the sweet creamy flavor in his mouth, and of course 𝗧𝗏 was thinking how cute Izuku is acting. I think everyone in the cafe thinks so as well, seeing as they all got their eyes glued at our little bean. 𝗧𝗏, Izuku, do you like the cake? With a smile he nodded. Izuku, yummy, he said in a soft voice. 𝗧𝗏's heart jumped out of his chest. He patted Izuku's head, then continued drinking his coffee. Just as they were enjoying their peaceful time together, suddenly a loud explosion can be heard. Citizens were running away for their safety. Panicking, 𝗧𝗏 quickly carried Izuku out of the cafe and into the alleyway, where he immediately transforms himself into his hero form, then flew through the sky and landed at the top of the building. He gently put Izuku down, then sighed deeply. All might, Izuku, stay here, okay? I'm just going to handle this situation for a bit, he said gently, caressing his hair. Izuku responded with a nod. All Might give Izuku a quick kiss on the forehead before leaving to stop the cause of the chaos. Now our little broccoli was left all alone. 1 hour later, our protagonist waited patiently for his father to come back, but unexpectedly there was another explosion coming from the other side of the city. Izuku didn't mind it as he continued to sit and wait for his father, but overhearing a scream of a boy caught his attention, although he tried to ignore it again as he wasn't supposed to interfere on hero matters. He can't overlook a soul in need, even though this means disobeying his father's words. In a blink of an eye, he teleports directly at the site. Several people run past him as a huge sludge villain destroys the street, holding a hostage to what seems to be a blonde boy with explosion quirk. He was struggling to get out of the monster's hold. Izuku approached it, ignoring all the citizens and heroes yelling at him to get away. What the hell is that kid doing? Kid, get out. It's dangerous. Is he crazy? Overhearing the crowd, the sludge villain turned around and his eyes landed on our little broccoli. Then he grinned. Sludge villain, oh, what's this? A little boy offering himself to me. Hero 1, don't you dare. Hero 2, kid, get out of there. The villain laughed. Izuku, on the other hand, stared at the huge villain. His expression never changed. Seeing as the little broccoli doesn't show any sign of fear, everybody from the crowd looked at him as he was about to commit suicide. But little do they know was that they had the wrong idea. RD person in the middle of the blazing destruction, Izuku stood there, his eyes scanning the villain in front of him. He took a step closer, making everyone in the crowd to shout louder, even the heroes who did nothing but watch him. Sludge villain, hey kid, you sure have a death wish, huh? Izuku made no response and just kept approaching the villain. Everyone stopped their shouting, even the sludge, even who was now staring at him. Izuku was now standing in front of it and he spoke. Izuku vine. The ground began to shake as he spoke. A large green thorny vines came out of the ground, making the villain eyes grow wide, and loud gasps can be heard. Izuku pointed at the blonde boy that was inside the villain. Izuku's vine then attacked the villain. It fight back, but it was no match as the vine pierced its stomach, grabbing the hostage out of the villain and oppressed them beside him. Sludge villain, you brat. It tried to attack Izuku with full force, but then just it was about to hit Izuku. A huge tornado appears out of nowhere, stinging the screaming villain inside. In a matter of seconds, the tornado turned into fire, burning the villain alive. All were horrified at the sight, even the heroes watch in horror. Then it stopped and it was left nothing but ash. The blonde hostage that was once inside the villain slightly opened his eyes, looking at Izuku before closing them again. The pile of dust flew in the breeze, leaving nothing left of the villain. It was silent for until one of the hero decided to approach him by grabbing him by the shoulder. Hero 1 inch, what have you done? It was very reckless of you to suddenly jump like that. You could have been killed. Izuku remains silent, making the hero filled with rage, but just then someone unexpected came within a flash, startling all of them a bit. His shiny golden hair matched the sun with his signature pose. All Might, ha, do not fear. Why? 'Cause I am here. Everyone was now cheering for him, from on top of their lungs, unaware that their number one hero actually had an unpleasant feeling seeing his precious beloved son being treated with disrespect. All Might, you fellow hero, why are you harassing the poor child? Said, hiding his anger from them. Well, of course he is. He can't risk everyone finding out about his precious little broccoli, now does he? But Alice, his mind was screaming to punch the hero who dares to yell at his son. Hero 1 inch, All Might, he recklessly fuffed the villain and killed it. He said, gripped, tightened. All Might, let go of him first. Startled, the hero immediately let go of little broccoli. All Might then spoke. All Might, I'm disappointed of you, my fellow heroes. Not only did you let the villain rampage, but you even yelled at the boy, he stated. Hero 1, but All Might, none of us have suitable quirks against the villain. Hero 2, yes, and that kid needs to be scolded for reckless behavior. This made the number one hero BLD to boil. They've really hit a nerve out of him, just because of their quirk, and they dare yell at his amazing son for doing a great job. All Might, I'm very disappointed in you all. You have displayed unheroic ACT upon your duty as heroes. We heroes are symbol of justice. We risk our own safety for the sake of others. We fight villain because that is what we most do in order to make our world a peaceful place. In times of destruction we face it. And what you just shown is not what a hero would act, and you call yourself heroes. All Might's speech made the heroes feel ashamed of themselves. What's worse was that it was on live TV. Poor heroes, not really. Our number one hero then looked at his son, who was currently healing the boy his son saved earlier. His dotting sighed and screams in his mind for his son's heroic did. He had the urge to cuddle him but control himself. He can't have the world knowing about his son, especially since the man had a lot enemies. Omega. All Might, for what I have seen, this boy pointed at Izuku, did the most heroic AC I have witnessed. He battled against the villain knowing the danger he was in. He even rescued the hostage out of it using his bravery and quirk to defeated the villain on his own. Now look, he is using his quirk to heal the hostage. Is a true hero. The crowd erupted into a loud cheer, praising both All Might and Izuku for their did. Time skipped. The father and son went to UA after being summoned by 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 a few minutes after the villain attack. As if right now 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 him being a fool for his son. 𝐻𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲, I say, I didn't expect to see Izuku use his quirk, 𝐻𝗧𝗟𝗘. Yeah, the little broccoli was amazing back there, Aizawa. Did you forget that he literally killed the villain? Namuri, well, at least the citizens didn't get hurt by the attack. Nizu, true, but the power Izuku displayed today was extraordinary. RG, still doesn't change the fact that he killed it. Nizu, Izuku still doesn't fully control his quirk, which is why he is going to be trained for the time being, and as for the villain, the citizens didn't acknowledge its death, even the police, so why bother? Toshinori, emotional, thank heavens you're okay. RG, Nizu, Namuri, Aizawa, 𝐻𝗧𝗟𝗃. Wow, Nizu, indeed, Aizawa. Nizu put Izuku in my class. Nizu, and the reason, Aizawa. The problem child needs someone to watch him. Namuri, I thought All Might would, since is going to be a teaching here next season. Aizawa, is your ears broken? Toshinori, my baby. Namuri, never mind. Nizu, I already did, and with the recommendation he doesn't have to do the battle exam, only the written exam. Why do I have a feeling you're up to something, Nizu? That's because Izuku's exam is made by me, and not only that, if Izuku wants he can join the battle exam with the other examiners. 𝐻𝗧𝗟𝗃, wait, really? Nizukus. RG, oh boy, Toshi is not gonna like this. After some time, Toshinori finally stopped his emotional drama. Now they are back at their house. Toshinori was sweating and breathing in his sleep, unaware of Izuku's presence. The little angel felt the souls that were within his father's quirk. They were watching him. He touched his father's forehead, feeling a 39°C heat, a light flash in his palm as the temperature dropped. Toshinori was now comfortably asleep. Izuku teleported back to his room where he did his usual prayers. The next morning, got out of the house after transforming into his hero form and went to the beach. There a pile of trash was left there abandoned by the city. All Might was concerned about the marine life living in the area, so he decided he would clean it by himself. Getting to work, he moved one huge truck out of the beach, throwing it out at the entrance where he would call the local dump truck to pick up. An hour has passed since he started. Feeling so drained, he decided to end it for today, and turns back into his skinny form while staring at the sea. Izuku, Dad. Upon a small voice, his expression instantly became joyful. He turned around and saw his son walking up to him carrying a basket and clothes for him. Toshinori, is that for me? He asked. Izuku nodded as a response, smiling. Toshinori brightened up as he was about to dot on him, but then realized that Izuku was a white coat and went wide eyes, remembering that it was Izuku's day at the hospital. Toshinori, Izuku, sorry, I completely forgotten that you are going to the hospital today. Let's go, we'll eat on the road. As usual, Izuku nodded, taking his father's hand as the two walked towards the hospital. Walking down the hall, Izuku was taken to one of the patient's rooms. There met Dr. Akane, who was a good friend of Toshinori, who smiled seeing the two. Akane. Toshi, Izuku, so glad you're here. Toshinori, Akane. Izuku, could you please heal this one? Points at the patient's lying on the bed. He got shot. We already removed the bullet. We just need a quick healing so he wouldn't die from BLD lost. Izuku understood as he let go of his father's hand to go heal the patients while he was doing this. Toshinori and Akane chatted in the other room. Akane, I saw you two on TV. You two were amazing. Toshinori, yeah. Akane, I can tell you're not happy about it. Toshinori, of course I am. My son was fighting a villain. He could have been hurt. Akane, why are you worried about that? You know your son is much more powerful than you. Toshinori, sigh, I know, but what if villains began to target him? Akane, well, he has you, and besides, look at him, he's an amazing kid. Toshinori, you're right, but still. Akane, stop that, you're way overprotective. I'm sure no matter what happens to him, he's going to be fine. Akane went back to his patients with Izuku helping him out, and Toshinori watched this and smiled. At noon, Izuku was left alone with Namuri helping him out with watering the flowers and vegetables growing in Izuku's backyard. Since All Might had an unexpected mission, Namuri volunteered on watching him while he's gone. Now both sat down by the living garden drinking juice and eating some snacks. Namuri, man, these cookies are the best. Can't believe Toshi made them. Then she looked at Izuku, who was also enjoying his snack. She smiled while patting his head, thinking how much Izuku has grown over the past years. Remembering how they found him inside the laboratory made her wonder what would happen to Izuku if they didn't rescue him. Izuku noticed her sadness, seeing as the shadow figure behind her became blue. Izuku, sad. She couldn't hear what he was saying, so she asked what it was, but Izuku just shook his head. Namuri, okay then. Come on, let's go inside, it's hot out here. She got up and grabbed Izuku's hand, to which he took, and they both went inside. The next day Izuku was with 𝐻𝐿 playing chess while Izuku was answering some tests 𝐻𝐿 gave him at the same time, but surprisingly 𝐻𝐿 was losing even though Izuku had his head stacked on the test. His hand moved like it has a mind of its own, and with one final move Izuku won and finished his test at the same time. As always, 𝐻𝐿 was delighted. Ever since he and Izuku started playing chess together, 𝐻𝐿 would rarely win on match against him, and what's surprising is that Izuku has a higher IQ than him. 𝐻𝐿, who was known as the world's most intelligent creature, was easy beaten by a child. How ironic. 𝐻𝐿, you never cease to amaze me. Izuku, again a perfect score, and with 40 minutes to spare, that's a new record. Izuku nodded, now drinking some tea made by 𝗏 herself. Gave it a rest. 𝐻𝐿, Izuku just came from the hospital, let him relaxed. 𝐻𝐿, of course. Izuku, why don't you go sit at the couch over there? Nodding, he did as told and went over to sit down on the couch reading a book that was lying on the table. Dear, how was your trip at the hospital? She said, sitting down beside him. Izuku, good. He spoke quietly, to which 𝗏 smiled at him. She thought if she would ask him some questions and talk to him, maybe then he would actually speak a full sentences, at least that she hoped for. 𝗏, it's nice to hear that you're enjoying your time volunteering to help patients at the hospital. Have made some friends? She asked. He slightly nodded. Really? That's amazing. What their name, dear? She was happy Izuku found a friend. But then Izuku pointed at the three by the window. Birdie. The old lady sighed, a bit disappointed but happy Izuku made a friend even if it's not human. Moments later 𝐻𝐿 joined them in the couch. 𝐻𝐿, so Izuku, are you going to join the battle examination? He asked, which Izuku replied with a nodded. 𝐻𝐿, splendid. Are you? Oh dear. 𝐻𝐿, but keep this a secret to your father so he wouldn't freak out. Yes, is a bit of a 𝐻𝐿, possessive, overprotective, doting dad. Yes. Both sigh, remembering how 𝗏𝗏 would reach when 6 years old. Izuku got a small paper cut on his finger, and 𝗏𝗏 was like a crazy person running around for nothing, finding all sorts of treatment for Izuku's very small cut. On the other hand, the two were excited. They can't wait to see Izuku's capabilities, not just in the written but also in the battlefield exam. Oh, what fun it would be. They just hoped that 𝗏𝗏 wouldn't find out about before the exam what he's wearing. Third-person POV. Currently All Might is being caned on the chair inside the observing room. The other hero teachers of UA all tried their best to guard him, because apparently his son Izuku is in the other room with 𝐻𝐿 taking the entrance exam. Aizawa, All Might, well, you calm down, well, you. The poor man has been trying to get his comrade to quiet down for the past 10 minutes, even though the other heroes gave up on him and just put on some headphones to drown the noise down. All Might, calm down. You want me to calm down when my precious angel son is with that devil? At that point the poor man gave up and joined his college in the corner. Just a moments later 𝐻𝐿 came back in the observing room by himself. All Might was about to ask where Izuku is, but sadly, an iron mask covered his mouth to shut him up. 𝐻𝐿, thank goodness I had this prepared. Aizawa, why didn't you use it from the start? 𝐻𝐿, because your suffering brings me entertainment, everyone. Hizashi, open door. What's going on? 𝐻𝐿, nothing in particular. Have the examiners are all in their respective battle area. Hizashi, they just prepared. 𝐻𝐿, excellent. Now on to the next step. All Might, prepare to witness your son in the battlefield, he said with a sinister smirk, sending shivers down everyone's spine. Meanwhile, All Might was in horror, letting out a loud scream of terror that puts Hizashi's quirk in shame even when his mouth is covered. With Izuku in the middle of ground beta B on top of the building, our young protagonist stood there with his sniper intact, shooting at every robot he spotted unknown by the other examiners. Now he's jumping in another building. Using his quirk, he controlled the wind to save a girl with black hair who was trapped in the pile of roble, then proceeded to destroy more robots above. He continued to do this in silence, saving then destroying without breaking a sweat. He effortlessly did so. There are times he saved other examiners in the shadows like a ninja, and then he would disappear in another building. With the others in the observing room, all the UA staff had their mouth drop watching the little bean amazingly wiping out robots and saving others like a certified assassin. All Might was proud beyond proud as he became emotional. Vlad King, who trained that child? Nemuri, nobody did. Hizashi, the little listener, is a literal genius. He can copy anything just by reading or watching other people. 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿, it was great idea giving him a tour in the military camp and showing him my collection of height-class weapons. All Might, you did what? 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿, oh my, it seems like the mask is broken. Not to worry, I made another one, he said, holding a remote out of nowhere, then pressing the buttons, shutting him up once again. Meanwhile, a certain number 2 hero was also observing our little bean with eyes full of jealousy and anger. Lunch rush, All Might's son sure is talented. Power loader, is it me or is that a snipe? They all turned to 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿 looking for some answers. 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿, oh my, I didn't give him any weapons, even I don't know where he gets them. It was obvious he knew something, but they decided to keep quiet for the sake of their sanity. Hound dog, this is the first time I saw All Might's son. But 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿, why did you put an elementary student in UA? He's still a kid, I get that he is a prodigy, but isn't he too young? 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿 along with Nemuri and Hizashi all look at each other before laughing. All Might was making an even more muffled scream, trying to get free to rip open the naive hero's head. Hound Dog was confused why they were suddenly reacting like that. Hound Dog, did I say something funny? Hizashi, ha. 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, it seems like there was a misunderstanding. Hound Dog, what is? Aizawa, he's actually 14 years old. Hound Dog, wait, what? Nemuri, yep, Izuku has a baby face so you can hardly tell. Vlad King. Guys, should we focus on the other examiners? Ectoplasm, 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿, isn't that the police chief's son? He said, pointing at a red-haired purple-eyed boy who just saved a fellow examiner from one of the robots. Snipe, our examiners this year are doing great. They all watch in great expectations as they evaluate every examiner by their level of skill and strength with Izuku. Help. Someone please help me. A girl's foot got injured while destroying one of the robots. She was unable to stand up. Another of the robots was coming her way. She kept calling for help, but the other examiners just ignored her. As it came closer, her trembling eyes shut, ready to be crashed. However, with a single gunshot, the robots came crashing right in front of her. A mysterious shadow then covered the girl's broken leg and healed it. Then it despaired when she opened eyes. She was shocked seeing the dead robot, and even more surprised when she noticed her leg was all better. Her head wandered around to find her savior, but sadly she didn't find anyone. The little angel leaped into another building, carefully analyzing the situation under him. He once again brought out his gun and shot another robot that was about to harm a fellow examiner, then proceeded on shooting more robots from above. His jade-colored hair flew with the wind. His shining orbs glow like emerald gems as it observes everything little thing in place. He looked like an absolute guardian angel protecting the people in danger. However, underneath that angelic face is actually ruthless destroyer. Even with just his gun and no quirk involved, it was pretty scary to see an emotionless child mercilessly destroying robots with his big boy gun. Soon he decided to jump down and join the other examiners, but in the shadows, he saw someone approaching and hid himself. It was actually the boy he saved in the sludge villain attack. He was yelling while sending an explosion at the robots that somehow reminded our protagonist about a Pomeranian puppy he visited at the pet cafe. Then he spotted another person. It was a short brown-haired girl with a gravity quirk. Instead of crashing robots, she just made the already broken thing float, then fell with a single touch. And other examiners all did their best to pass. Izuku saw every person fighting and helping each other out, but there were also some who left others be helpless on their own. Nevertheless, he saw how determined in those scared eyes just to get a spot in their dream school, but Izuku focuses on gaining more points and rescuing other examiners as he left in another area to find them. In the observing room, being an emotional parent that he is, All Might burst into tears. He only watched his son and never anyone else. His college sweat dropped at his reaction. Vlad King, is he normally like this? Aizawa, sadly yes, but much worse. Hound Dog, well. Never thought of the number 1 hero could be a fool for his son. Hizashi, there was a time when he won't even let go of Izuku because he got a splinter. Midnight, and it took us a week to get him to let go of Izuku. Cementos, that bad. 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿, nope. When Izuku was 7, he accidentally fell down his chair. Ectoplasm, and RGE. He called over 50 doctors just to check if Izuku hurt himself. Everyone. Endeavor huffed and turned towards the door, but as he was about to go out, the door wouldn't open. Endeavor, what's the meaning of this? 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, I apologize but I can't let you out right at the moment, endeavor, you rat. 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, correction, I'm either a rat, dog, mouse or bear, you won't be let out right now because there is something important we must discuss after the examination is over, endeavor, TCK. He went back to his usual spot. 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, now I think it's time to deliver the final boss. A devilish grind can be seen across 𝐻𝐮𝐴's face. All the UA staff back away from Satan's reincarnation in fear of their own lives. Back with Izuku, the ground began to shake. Izuku didn't move as other examiners were running his way while a huge building-sized robot chased them. Some even looked at Izuku while he just stood there unafraid of the situation. He was about to turn away, however a cry for help never passed Izuku's ears. It was the same brown-haired girl he saw earlier. Her leg was buried under the rubles. Izuku didn't hesitate to save the poor girl as he calmly dodged some falling pieces of the buildings by jumping and doing some few backflips, and later he then finally made it in front of her. Trembling, "He help." He nodded while activating his quirk. Vines came out of the ground as it removed the girl out. Relief, thank you. Our protagonist didn't let her finish as the vine took her away. Observing room, All Might, 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. 𝐵𝐵, is Izuku going to stop that thing? Aizawa, seems like it. Hisashi, 𝐻𝐴, I'm going to prepare a taser. I'll get the injection. 𝐶𝐮𝐬, don't make him pass out, he still have mission later tonight. Hound dog, what are you guys talking about? 𝐻𝐮𝐴, nothing important, just preparing some things in case All Might wouldn't let go of Izuku once this exam is over. Ectoplasm. Is that really necessary? 𝐵𝐵, you'll find out later. Back with Izuku with a sigh, Izuku held his hands high facing it towards the robot that was a meter away from him. His dead-looking emerald eyes stared at it for a moment before he spoke one word that led to mass distraction. Izuku, fire. Like that, but much bigger. His fire not only destroyed the robot but also the buildings near it. He stopped, making half of the ground beta disappear, leaving only ashes that followed the wind. It was done in an instance where there were many mass distractions, but that didn't concern our angel. It was stunning. Unfortunately, nobody saw his great power well except for the people observing the entire thing. Suddenly he remembered about other examiners that were injured during this exam. His pure golden heart didn't hesitate to release a huge symbol in the sky, raining tiny ball of light, healing everyone's injury in the speed of light, although they didn't notice, since Izuku made sure to make them blind by his shadow before releasing his healing power. Then it disappeared as if it never appeared in the first place. All examiners were stunned to see all their wounds had vanished. Meanwhile, Izuku made hand gestures in front of the CCTV camera to communicate with his family. The observing room, all the staff froze at the sight, and even Endeavor had his mouth agape, except for some who were too busy preparing the things that could hold All Might down. Cementos, did All Might's son just destroyed half of the ground beta? He already did. Aizawa, go get Aizawa. I'm already going. I'll go with you, I still need to heal the kids. Snipe. What just happened? Hisashi, Izuku is already healing them, he said, pointing at the screen, seeing as Izuku summoned a big symbol in the sky that was raining tiny piece of light. Oh my, that's so sweet of him. Vlad King, can someone explain what just happened? 𝐵𝐵, 𝐻𝐮𝐴 and Hisashi looked at each other, then 𝐻𝐮𝐴 spoke. 𝐻𝐮𝐴, clears trout, as you can see. All Might's son Izuku has all looks at 𝐵𝐵, he has two quirks, one is called Mother Nature and the other is called Angel. Hisashi, basically Izuku can control the force and elements of nature, and his angel quirk allows him to heal more than 100 people at the same time. He looked at the screen once again and saw Izuku doing sign language. Hisashi, how sweet of him. Hound dog, what did he say? Hisashi, he said the recovery girl can rest because he already healed all of the examiners. Izuku is so kind, I'll get him a cake later. Vlad King, you know sign language. Hisashi, yes, me 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 RG and All Might learned it so we can communicate with Izuku. Endeavor, are you just going to ignore the fact he just destroyed half that place? 𝐵𝐵, yes, because this is normal, she said bluntly. Ectoplasm, wait. This is normal? 𝐻𝐮𝐴, Izuku didn't use his full power. Endeavor, what do you mean? RG, that was only 30% of his quirk. Everyone, what? Hisashi, the last time Izuku used his full power he made an entire island vanish. Cementos, why you mean? 𝐻𝐮𝐴, Izuku was the one responsible for the disappearance of Island V5, Power Loader, the island that holds high-class weapons used for war. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. I happened to take him there during my free time, and one of the soldiers wanted to see his full power, and since Izuku is an obedient child, he actually did, so that's why the entire island is now gone. The door opened, revealing Aizawa carrying Izuku like a princess. Once All Might spotted Izuku, he burst out of his cane and masks, running towards Aizawa's, grabbing Izuku out of his arms and into his. All Might, my baby, are you okay? Did you hurt yourself? Are you hangry? Do you want something to eat? Are you tired? Don't worry, Papa will take you home so you can sleep. Everyone inside the room had their mouth drop, even Endeavor, the 5 comrades sigh, while Hisashi was holding a teaser and RG with the injection. But before they could even do anything, Izuku wrapped his small arms around his father's neck, then nuzzled onto his father's shoulder while yawning. All Might beamed. So adorable, he screamed in pure adoration. Snipe. 𝐻𝐿𝐿, indeed, Nemuri, everyone, that boy over there is Izuku, All Might's son. Alright. Since everyone is here, we wanted to make an announcement. 𝐒𝐿, huh? 𝐻𝐿𝐿, as you can see, Izuku is going to be a student here in UA Aizawa. Nobody can know about Izuku's identity of being All Might's son, 𝐻𝐿𝐿. That's why we informed you all, in case one of you might expose this. As you know, All Might has many enemies, RG, and we don't want anything that could harm our little bean, hound dog. In other words, Yo want us to help keep it a secret. Hisashi, yes, we can't exactly do it on our own, I mean look at him. He said, pointing at the dotting parent. Everyone. Endeavor, why am I involved? I'm not a staff member, 𝐻𝐿𝐿, so you won't have your son compete against Izuku, he said coldly. That made the number 2 hero flinch. Hisashi, Shota, can you get the canes for me? Aizawa, Sai, already have. Nemuri, did you call the helicopter? Nemuri, they're coming right now. Good, I'll prepare the injection. Hound dog, what are you guys doing? Nemuri, we're going to bring All Might to his mission in Tokyo, she said while getting the canes from Aizawa. 𝐻𝐿𝐿, Izuku, can you teleport over here please? Izuku immediately teleported beside 𝐻𝐿𝐿 and rested his head on 𝐻𝐿𝐿's lap. Before All Might could even speak, he was tased with an electric shock followed by RG injection. Then Nemuri immediately chained and carried the unconscious man out of the room, leaving some of the UA staff speechless. Vlad King, did they just? 𝐒𝐿, what just happened? Aizawa, Sai, let's get Izuku to bed. Walking down the hall of UA High, our little bean made his way towards his assigned classroom. Every student that saw him stared at him like a celebrity. Izuku wore his UA uniform underneath his cat hoodie, all thanks to his doting father, making Izuku's angelic-like face stand out more. Finally, he made it to his classroom, but he was standing there listening to the loud noises inside. It just so happens that Aizawa came just in time. Aizawa, Izuku, are you not going inside? Unresponsive, Izuku kept quiet, staring at his uncle as if he's trying to tell him that he was waiting for him. Although in Aizawa's thoughts Izuku was just shy because this is the first time he has been in a real school, he sighed while patting Izuku's head. Aizawa, shall we go together? Izuku smiled and nodded in agreement, which made Aizawa smile as well. They both went inside. As soon as the door opened, it became quiet. Aizawa, it took 8 seconds for you all to quiet down, he said while carrying Izuku in one arm. Hey, aren't you that one who saved me during the entrance exam? Said a girl with brown hair. Izuku only glanced at her for a moment before turning his attention back on the floor. Aizawa, grabbed a uniform over there at the table and met me outside. Sensei, what about orientation? Aizawa, there will be no orientation here in UA. Teachers have the freedom to teach however we want. Now then, I expect all of you to get changed in 10 minutes. Aizawa was waiting at the field where Izuku had his head rested on his lap. Aizawa looked somewhat dead inside but also happy on the outside, petting Izuku's hair, watching the little angel sleep. Just then all of Class 1A came looking at the two. Aizawa, you're all 5 minutes late. Sensei, why isn't that boy in his uniform? A blue-haired boy with glasses, said Aizawa. Gently place Izuku's head on the bench. He's a special case. Let's get on with the quirk application test. Aizawa looked at one of his students that Izuku had saved during a villain attack. Aizawa, 𝐻𝐿𝐿, what was your baseball record in middle school? 𝐻𝐿𝐿, TC, 72 meters. Aizawa, Throws the baseball at him. I want you to use your quirk while throwing it and don't step out of the circle. Bakugo did so. Once inside the circle he harnessed his strength in his palm and threw the ball with a massive explosion. Bakugo die. A few seconds later Izawa had the result and showed it to the class. Izawa 256, 65 meters. Wow, we get to use our quirk. This is fun. Unfortunately their excitement died after sensing Izawa's cold gaze. Izawa, you think this is fun? When a villain attacks, do you think it's fun? No, it's not. The world isn't all fun and games. If all of you are here to mess around, then kindly leave my class, he said, venom in his voice that sent shivers down everyone's spine. Izawa, and also the last place will be expelled from this school. Wait, what? That's not fair. Izawa, life isn't fair, so deal with it. Everyone takes turns throwing the ball as far as you can so we can continue with other tests. Hearing this, they all immediately lined up and started throwing the ball. Each of them tried their best. All were determined to stay on their feet. Izawa, okay, last one is. It was Izuku's turn now and the boy just woke up from his nap. Izawa, Izuku, he called out while heading towards him and patted his head. Izawa, it's your turn to do the test. Our little angel nodded while yawning, then teleported himself inside the circle with the ball ready in his hands. Everyone wondered why he wasn't doing anything, so one of them asked Izawa. Izawa, sigh, everyone back away and grab something that could hold you. They were all confused, but they did so anyways. Once they were all now away and preparing, Izawa nodded at Izuku, to which he returned. As calm as the wind, Izuku casually threw the ball with only 0.3% of his quirk that instantly turned into a massive explosion, putting Bakugo's quirk to shame. Everyone held their grip tight, trying not to fly away. Once the situation ended, Izawa then showed everyone his score. Very 1-infinity. Izawa, alright, now that's settled, let's get on with the other test. Wait, there's more. Izawa, yes, now everyone prepare yourself. Class 1A had their spirits fired up. The second test was a 50 meters dash. The first to compete was a pink-haired girl and a 4-eyes boy that scored over 7, 4 and 3, 8 seconds, followed by the rest that scored above 5 seconds but below 20 seconds. Now it was Izuku's turn against Bakugo. The explosion boy scuffed at Izuku intimidatingly, however he was annoyed at the fact he doesn't show any sign of response. He was sad after seeing his ball throw, but he was even more sad when he remembered that Izuku was the same boy who rescued him. Bakugo, you're no match to me, so why don't you just give up? He said, sounding more aggressive. Izawa, All Might will not be happy to hear this. The man thought while the talking dynamite keeps on yelling. Our angel paid no mind as he was busy admiring the butterfly that was flying above his head. Izawa, Izuku, focus. You can play with the butterfly later, he said while pointing the pistol at the sky. The other students of Class 1A observed their sensei's tone towards the little green bean and was curious about their connection, causing the majority of the class to whisper among themselves. Hey, isn't sensei favoring him? Maybe they're related. He could be sensei's son. I don't see a resemblance. Izawa, all right, on your mark, get set, go. He shot the pistol once it started. Izuku heavily sighed as he let out his pure white wings. On the other hand, Bakugo ran ahead using his explosion as his support, but is unaware that Izuku already made it at the end. Now both finished. Izawa, Izuku 1.67 second, Bakugo 4.33 second. Bakugo, what? He looked at Izuku in pure rage as our little angel hid his wings once again, walking back to Izawa. The rest had stood there dumbfounded. Did you guys see? And no. Just now was that angel wings. Some were skeptical about the event. It all happened so fast, heck, they didn't even see him fly all the way. All except for a certain redhead that didn't leave his away from Izuku from the moment the first test started. Nevertheless, they decided to end their train of shock and focused on the next test. In terms of strength, Izuku wasn't the best as well as running, but when it comes to balance, flexibility, and agility, Izuku stand out. Izawa, everyone hears the result. First place, Kuroto Stakachi ND place, Izuku RT place, Katsuki Bakugo H place, Shoto Todoroki H place, Tenya Ida H place, Mizo Shoji H place, Ijiro Kirishima. And last place, Minoru Mineta. The little great boy was on the ground crying. Aizawa was about to tell him to leave, but then Izuku came in and talked to him, which made the grown man sigh. Aizawa, the last place expulsion was just an excuse to make you all do your best. Now get off the floor, great boy. He instantly stopped crying and jumped on Aizawa's leg. Mineta, really? I'm really not expelled. Aizawa. Yes, now get off me. Everyone get inside the classroom. Everyone was in their seats as Aizawa stood in front of them. Aizawa, for the final thing we're going to introduce yourself, your quirk, and things that you like and dislike. It depends on you. Yaoyorozu, Momo Yaoyorozu. My quirk is creation. I like tea and my family. I dislike bad people. Mineta, Minoru Mineta. My quirk is called pop off. I like girls. I dislike gays. Aizawa. I'm starting to regret not expelling him earlier. He thought Bakugo, Katsuki Bakugo. Quirk explosion. I'm going to be the next #1 hero. Hagakure. I'm Toru Hagakure. My quirk is invisibility. Todoroki, Shoto Todoroki. Quirk half cold, half hot. I like soba. I dislike the #2 hero. Tokoyami, Fumikage Tokoyami. My quirk is called dark shadow. Siro, Hanta Siro. My quirk is called tape. I like my friends and family. I don't like villains. Aoyama, Sparkles Yuga Aoyama. My quirk naval laser. A great pleasure to meet you all, Sparkles, he said while doing a pose. Mina, beamed Mina Ashido. My quirk is acid. I like dancing. Azui, Tsu Azui. Quirk frog. Ida. Hello everyone, I'm Tenya Ida. My quirk is engine. Uraraka, Achiko Uraraka. Quirk zero gravity. Ojiro, Mashireo Ojiro. Quirk tail. I don't have any particular likes or dislikes. Kaminari, Denki Kaminari. My quirk is called electrification. I like everyone. I don't like sensei. Aizawa, right back at you. Kirishima. Hey guys, my name Ijiro Kirishima and my quirk is called hardening coda. Shy Koji Koda. My quirk is Ani voice. Sato, Rikido Sato. Quirk sugar rush. I like baking. I don't like bitter things. Shoji, Mizo Shoji. Quirk dupli arms. Ojiro, Kyokajiro. My is called earphone jack. I like music. Then they all look at the two people at the back. One was gazing outside the window and the other was reading a book. Uraraka? The redhead sighed while standing up. He was clearly not enjoying any of this introduction things. Kuroto Stakachi. I have two quirks. The first one is called weaponry and the second is called demon. I don't like or dislike anything. As he finished, he sat back down once again and continued his sightseeing. Aizawa looked at Izuku for a moment, asking if he wanted to introduce himself. Izuku responded with his usual head shake, saying no. Aizawa would never force him to do anything. He knew Izuku was new to this kinds of things. Aizawa, his Izuku, and that's it now. Any questions? He said, and all went silent. Aizawa, nothing. Well then everyone do whatever you want, but don't be noisy. I'm going to sleep. The poor man hasn't been sleeping well. He took his yellow sleeping bag from under the table and proceeded to make himself a human caterpillar. While Aizawa was now very much asleep, Uraraka approached the little bean. His reading got interrupted when he felt the girl came closer. Uraraka? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm Achiko. Uraraka? Izuku nodded. Uraraka, I wanted to say thank you for saving me during the exam. Izuku did answer, which made Uraraka nervous, but then she was curious why he didn't speak, so she asked. Uraraka, are you mute? She tilted her head. Izuku shakes his head. Uraraka, then are you shy? Izuku nodded. Uraraka, beamed. You don't have to be shy. Grabbed his hands. Let's be friends. Izuku tilts his head to the side, as the girl continues to talk to him. Just then the bell rang, which means it is now launch time. Aizawa woke up from his sleep. Aizawa, everyone dismissed. Izuku, come here, let's go have lunch. He teleported in Aizawa's arms, then they both went out after Izuku gave a small wave at Uraraka, which she happily waved back. The two now arrived at the teacher's lounge. As soon as Toshinori saw them, he instantly became All Might again and ran up to them. Omit, my baby. He went in and grabbed Izuku out of Aizawa's arms and dotted on him, rubbing both their cheek. Aizawa, enough. Toshinori, get him something to eat. All Might immediately took Izuku away and towards his table. Aizawa, sigh, what a fool for his son. All Might's joy spreads inside the room as he fed Izuku like a little baby. Although Izuku didn't mind, some of the teachers were a bit uncomfortable by the sheer happiness radiating the room. Omit, how was your first day? Did you make any new friends? Izuku nodded. All Might beamed. Really? That's great. Are they good? What's their name? Izuku, munching. Uraraka-san, good. He spoke softly. Three heroes smiled hearing that Izuku made a friend. They watch as All Might continue to ask questions about his son's day. Nemuri, it's great that Izuku made a friend. Hisashi, the little broccoli is progressing, that's good. Aizawa, not yet though, he's still a bit shy. Hisashi, give it some time, I'm sure Izuku will do just great. Nemuri, come on guys, let's eat, we still have a few classes to cover up. Aizawa, sigh, right, let's go.